5 days until the Chargers report to training camp. 5 days. 22 days until the Eagles report to training camp. Did you hear me? 5 days to Chargers, because they play at the end of this month, the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. You get that, right? There's football, pro football is at the end of the month in Canton, Ohio. That's how close we are. By the way, Howard Eskin at 4:30, Xander at 3:30. Super Chats go to the top. Please hit the like button. Hope everyone had a fantastic 4th of July. Hey, our hearts and prayers go out with the folks in South Texas there, man. I mean, all the folks there along the Guadalupe River, and I hope everybody sends out some love for those folks, because that's a lot of tragedy going on there. I know the weather over the weekend in the Philadelphia area was great. I know it's a little rainy now, but I just hope everyone had a great weekend, and sending prayers out to those folks in South Texas. So absolutely awesome. You know, the sports calendar was kind of weird. I did something last night. Before we get to football, I did something last night that I never do. I watched soccer. Hello. I watched that Gold Cup thing. You know what I came to the conclusion? Why am I doing this? And I've been saying this in my broadcasting career for 30 years. Hey, how come America doesn't play on a national level as the rest of the teams around the world, like Argentina or Germany or Italy or England or Brazil? How come we can't? How come we're not in that room? Okay? Okay? How come we are sitting in that situation? Okay? How come? You tell me. How come we're in that situation? Okay? And to me, I don't get it. I don't get it. So, I mean, we'll never be in that position. Okay? Never. Where we're going to compete on the national stage. Okay? We're just never going to do it. That is not going to happen. Let's see here. Seals, can you see if you can get Jack Lingal from Marshall, head coach, on the show, and how he helped rebuild the program after the crash? It's a great show. It's absolutely a great show. Okay? Yeah, Mexico beat Team USA 3-1. Okay? It beat them 3-1. Now, I'll flat out tell you, I mean, we're never going to be, it's like rooting for Temple. It's like rooting for Temple. It's just not going to happen. We're never going to be good. I don't know why we sit here and have that conversation. You know what's funny? You guys remember the original Dream Team? You guys remember, right? The Jordan and Barkley team and those guys. It's funny, right? We were mowing people over, and we were mowing people over, right? We were just killing people. We were killing people. Killing them. Right? In Barcelona. And you know what happened? The world caught up. We got an MVP that's a foreign player. We will never catch up in soccer. We just never will. Just never going to happen. So rooting for Team USA in soccer is like rooting for NC State or Temple. We created basketball. Yeah, well, the world's caught up. We never caught up in soccer. Just not going to happen. It's just never going to happen. All right. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit that like button. We appreciate everybody coming aboard. 5 days out, like I said, until the start of training camp for the Los Angeles Chargers. That's crazy. That's at the end of this week, you know. That is totally at the end of this week. All right. One of the great things I get to do after I do a Tampa show in the morning, as you guys know, I do a morning radio show. And then what I do is I go back and I listen to John and Xander, and I listen to what those guys talked about. And I really like it. I really do. They got some really good topics on that program. It's probably one of the best shows in the Philadelphia area. Okay? It is. So let me ask you something. What is going to be different this year from 2018 and 2023? In 2018, you went 9-7 after a Super Bowl win. And in 2023, you went 11-6 and had a nuclear meltdown at the end of the season in an embarrassing playoff loss to the Buccaneers. Why will this be different? Why will this team be different? Okay? Why will this be different? By the way, for the record, there has been, I believe, 9 back-to-back Super Bowl champions since the Super Bowl era started. Why is this going to be different? Especially with the losses that you had on the defensive side of the football. Hey, that's not talking to me about a complete team. That's not talking about a complete team. What will be different from 2018 and 2023 with this team? What will be different? What player is not in? Because that's talking to me about one side of the ball. Get this. How many of them were before the salary cap era? Good question. How many? And again, what will be different? What will be different this time? Tell me, guys. I'd like to know. You lost half your defense from the Super Bowl starting lineup. What will be different? Still, to be honest, we don't know till September. Fair enough. You had the same coaching staff in 18. In many aspects. Hey, by the way, Vic Fangio, you guys are touting as the best D coordinator. What does Vic Fangio have over Jim Schwartz? Jim Schwartz has had a number 1 ranked defense, and Jim Schwartz had Super Bowl ring. Don't make it sound like Jim Schwartz is not in the conversation as one of the better D coordinators in pro football. You tell me. What's the difference? Hey, anybody. I'm looking for anything here because I don't know. Younger doesn't mean better. Younger to me means more inexperienced. So you're more inexperienced. And I would make this point. You're more inexperienced than any of those teams that came back after a Super Bowl appearance. You're younger and you're less experienced than the 18 team and 23 team. Those guys were hungry. You can't come up with one. You cannot come up with one. The question once again, what is different with this team, you think, than those other teams? I'm not talking about fucking last year. I'm talking about what's different with this team you're going to put on the field September 4th compared to those other ones. Simple question, senor. Try to stay focused, kid. I hope you had a great weekend, but shit. Too much tequila, kid. In 2018, we were one of the oldest teams in the league. Okay. So you're younger. You're younger. Okay. That's one. You're younger. Okay. And you don't have a more experienced coaching staff. That coaching staff that you won the Super Bowl with, hey. Okay. Dude, we can do this. Okay, so hang on here. Hang on here. I have to do something here. And in the middle of my open here, I've got to bring Xander in here because Big Sills has done something here.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to be here right now, Sileo.
No, I know you're not. So what?
Well, this is what happens when you join in at 1:59 before the show starts.
Yeah. So
your mic, it's hollow. I can't listen to it for the full hour. I cannot listen to it.
I tried to go over here to the
click settings at the bottom of your page.
Okay, I got settings.
There's audio. Click audio.
Got it.
Mic. What's it say?
It says iMic.
Yeah. Click the drop down box.
I know I can't do it this way. Watch. I put the Shure MV. It won't go there.
What do you mean?
It won't go there. Like when I go there and I click it, boom. It just stays on iMac.
Is your green lights on top of your mic?
Yes.
Pull the plug out of the back of the mic and replug it back in. Sorry, I'd rather fix this audio than not fix it.
Okay. Hold on.
All right, now go back to your settings.
It's not doing it. Let me do this. Let me click out.
No. You don't need to do that.
I'll come back.
If it's not working, it's not going to click on.
Wait, I'll click back. Let me leave and I'll come back.
Yeah, he's hollow. All right. All right, fine. Click back. All right, this is the Xander Kraus show now, folks. Yeah, it's a little muffled. Sills will be back up. He joined a little late on me today. Most people don't notice, but we got a lot of headphone listeners, who listen in their headphones, and I don't want to mess with the audio on them. So I appreciate Sills taking this time. I'm sure I messed up the middle of his open, but good to see everybody in here. I'll be on at 3:30. Bashing with Sills. What's up, Lamar? What's up, Leon? What's up, Jessica? M. Reyes is in here. Hungry heard it. He sounds hollow. He must be a headphone listener. So, Sue, you must be a headphone listener too. What's up, Tony? Sills dropped cannoli crumbs on his mic. It wouldn't surprise me. Let's see. Still nothing?
Now I can't hear you.
Now you can't hear me?
Here's what I have at the top, Xander. Hold on for a second. Let me go back over here to audio. Go back here, built in. Okay, let me tell you what it says. It says the latest versions of some browsers from Chrome 138, Edge 138.
Yeah, I don't need that. That shouldn't affect your mic.
Yeah, well, it won't let me go there.
You can hear me though, right?
Yeah, right here. Look.
Yeah.
When
I try and click the audio. Try and click the audio thing again.
Okay, audio. Boom. Shure MV7 won't let me do it.
All right, we're gonna have to rock with it. I'll try and work on it after the show.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened here.
All right, all good. You don't sound too bad. It's just a small hollow. It's small, minorly hollow. That's all.
All right.
All right, you're good.
All right, guys. All right, sorry, we tried to fix that for you guys. Xander, do me a favor. Please pull up that audio. Okay. Please pull up that super chat we got there. I think Kyle sent me one there. And so Sills, can you see if you? Yes, I will try to get the coach on. He was at one time the AD at Marshall too. Okay, so yes, hopefully we're able to get through this here, man. I appreciate you guys coming aboard. All right, let me get back to the question again. Okay. Thank you very much, Richard. I appreciate you, man. But he's right. For some reason, my mic setting won't allow me to go because when I click it on, it just won't let me go there. It's crazy. But hey, we'll work through it here. We appreciate all of you guys. What is going to be the difference in 2025 from the other Super Bowl teams? Thank you, Philly. Appreciate you guys very much. Please hit the like button, guys. Guys, it's fantastic. Thank you. Okay? Some of you say we're sounding good. So that's okay. Good. I appreciate that. What will be different from those teams? And by the way, 18, you went 9-7. In 2023, you went 11-6. Why will this be a repeat? Okay? Stability as well. 2018 had questions at quarterback. You didn't have one question at quarterback. You had a question that Hurts or Wentz got injured. But then there was the question of whether or not you should start Foles. So that would be a question, yes. You are drama-free now. Yeah, I would say that. Linebacker play, lights out now. Well, you're not going to have Jacoby playing on the football field, at least for the first half of the season. Jahad Campbell will not make the difference in the first month of the season. Most of the guys from 23 have experienced the meltdown and should be better prepared for it now. Preparation. I will definitely put that there. Hey, Sills, you ignoring my super chat on Thursday in regards to update you had on the 18-game schedule. I will definitely bring that up because that's going to be collectively bargained, and it's not going to be addressed, Penn, until 2026 and the owners' meetings in the offseason. Okay? So that's when it's going to be addressed. It'll be addressed by the owners in the winter meetings in 2026. Okay? Battle tested, Sills. Let's take a look at that. I like that line. Battle tested. That's why this will be different. They experienced losing a Super Bowl in 2022. They experienced the meltdown, and now they're better prepared for it because they've been through the wars of ups and downs, especially the head coach, right? Okay, Fredo says that Jahad Campbell will play in week 2 or 3. Where? For who? Fredo. For who? For who? Who's coming out of the starting lineup? For who? Who's coming out of the starting lineup? For Jahad Campbell. Trotter. When Dean comes back, so Jahad Campbell is being put in there right away as soon as he's ready. Trotter's first man up. So when Dean's healthy, Trotter's off the field and Dean are off the field. Is that right? Bro, that's one side of the ball. Don't talk to me about one guy. One guy's not going to make a difference. You won the Super Bowl last year because of your defensive football play. By the way, there is no question the best player on your football team a year ago was the linebacker. Shields, I would say the difference this time around is that we are rebuilding through the draft and not mercenaries. That's a great one. Homegrown. Dean is not healthy. So Jahad Campbell's going to start week 2 against the Chiefs. Is that what you're saying? An inside off-ball linebacker. Okay? So Jahad Campbell's the difference. That's not cutting it. Okay? That's not cutting it. Well, if you read the whole comment, you would have seen it wasn't about one person. Okay? That's right. It's about a unit. Teams can't get off the field with Barkley. You mean teams couldn't get off the field because your defense put your offense in a position and in great field position all year? That's not going to be the case this year. I'm with John McMullen. I don't believe your defense is going to be as hot as you think. And by the way, every single Philadelphia person has upgraded years for every fucking player on your team. Devontae will be better. AJ will be better. Barkley will be better. The quarterback will be better. Who said that? How do you know that? I'm not even going to make a prediction whether who's going to – you've never heard me say who I think is going to play bad or who I think is going to play well. I don't make those comments. I have no idea. There is absolutely no idea. Okay? All right? It just doesn't. So I don't know if we're planning to contend this year, but I think this is a developmental year. That's a great take. That's absolutely a great take. No question about it. Absolutely no question. No doubt. I think it is too a developmental year. I think you're going to see a lot of players. Top 12 to 15 defense this year, and I'll be okay with that. I think that's a reach. I really do. I think that's a reach. To sit there and think that you're going to be a top 10 defense with 5 starters off the Super Bowl roster that started for you in that game. I think that's crazy to think that you're going to – I'd like to know how many teams have ever had back-to-back number 1 defensive football teams in NFL history or top 5 in NFL history. Hey, Sills, any info on Justin Simmons? Guys, Justin Simmons is a non-starter unless Sidney Brown and Makuba stink. Okay? See this right here? This is the lamest thing on the planet. I did say that, and I stand by that. What you did last year was unprecedented. You're not doing it again. I'll stand on that every fucking year. You bet I said that. You're not doing that again. Same shit? It won't be the same shit because nowhere in NFL history has that ever happened. History of the league. The Ravens did not lose Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. Okay? You bet flip this. Mark it. July 7th. This guy's high. Well, because we did it a year ago, we'll do it again. The chances, if you brought everybody back, that you would do the same shit would be unbelievably 1,000 to 1. Be 1,000 to 1. You bet. I completely 1,000. By the way, the comment I made about Barkley, I stand on. Why? Because he sucked in New York. He sucked in New York. He was always hurt. They didn't build a team around him. And he never fulfilled being the number 2 player taken. That's not a bad take. That's reality. Well, Stills, when he got with a better, no shit. Not everybody gets to go to good teams. How many times have we said that? It's the luck of where you're drafted. Unbelievable. You just think because you're on the Eagles, you're going to be miraculously the fucking same team as the year ago is insane. Okay? It's insanity. Get this. Who said it was? Who said it was on Barkley? My God. It's like the stuff you say about Josh Allen. Bro, Josh Allen is with the shitty Bills. Joe Burrow's with the shitty Bengals. Why? Because they were the top picks in the NFL draft. This is a reload and developmental year, but still in the game. It will ensure future success. Completely true. Stay patient, teaching my husband about, that's right, soccer and rugby. Thank you, Kimberly. Get this. No, they're not. Who's going to play 800 snaps for both those guys this year? How many people believe that Jalen Hunt is going to play 800 snaps this year? How many people believe that? That he'll play 800 snaps? Or that Moro Ijoma will play 800 snaps? How many people believe that? Counting the playoffs. How many people? Get this. See this here? Nobody is fucking saying that. It was a Hall of Fame unit. You had one first-team All-Pro on it, dude. Don't make it sound like you had a bunch of superstars on it. You didn't. You had a bunch of really good players as a unit on it. Facts. Facts. One first-team All-Pro. It wasn't like it was littered with first-team All-Pros. Not near. You had one guy. One dude. One dude. Okay? Absolutely. So, hey, I mean, again, this is what we're talking about here. Okay, I'm done with that. So because the Eagles jumped from 30th ranked defense to first ranked defense, that means they're going to go to the middle now? I don't know. I have no idea. Okay? Guys, I appreciate you guys. We tried to fix it here. I don't know what's wrong with the mic. I don't know what's wrong with the mic. Let me see something here. Hold on here. Let's see, make sure we got it all plugged in here. Make sure we got it plugged in. Yeah, we got it plugged in. It's all plugged in. We're just double checking. I want to make sure because I know we'll get through it here, guys. So again, okay, thank you, Lamar. Appreciate it. Hit the like button, guys. I think you're going to be pretty decent this year. But I don't know how good on defense yet. It's just I don't think our defense will be as good as 24, but I think it will be better than 23. Okay? I like that. It will be better than 23. But all this means is our offense has to put up more. Okay? Absolutely. Sills, what proof you have to show that we're going to – I didn't say I think you're – what proof? You lost 5 starters. You lost 5 starters, and you're going to replace them with people that have never started a down in the NFL. That's my proof. Leon, you got a first-year starter at corner. You're going to have a first-year starter at safety. You're going to have a first-time starter at linebacker. You're going to have a first-time starter at end. And you're going to have a first-time starter at edge. First-time starters at 5 positions. I don't know. So if the defense finishes anywhere from 10 to 14, I would say it's a good year. I would too. I would definitely say that. Here, look. We're replacing football guys with younger football guys. Nothing changes. Listen to this. So he says that 5 people who have never started an NFL down, and because they're younger, nothing will change. If I started 5 guys from my practice squad, according to him, that were younger, nothing will change. Vic can't make everything work. He couldn't make Bryce Huff fit. Vaughn, first time starting, ended up all pro. We're going to get to him in a minute, too. Starting doesn't mean shit in the grand scheme of shit. Yeah, well, you had to at least beat the backup up a year ago, didn't you? Those guys couldn't even see playing time over Isaiah Rodgers or Aaron Burks. And those guys are decent players. They're not superstar players. And Riggs, how come those guys didn't see time over them? How come Trotter never got on the field? If they love him so much, how come Trotter never played? But now he's ready. Well, you're ready because Burks is gone. Get this. You're fucking A, and I'll stand by it. I will stand by that. Dude, the shot of you being right 2 years in a row and me is 1 billion to 1. It's 1 billion to 1. Billion to 1 that you'll be right and have a top 5 defense. We're missing 5 starters. 1 billion to 1. Billion to 1. And I will stand on that hill. You bet your ass I will. That's right. 1 trillion to 1. That you'll have a top 5 defense with 5 new starters. 1 trillion to 1. 1 trillion. Offense is going to have to play exceptional. By the way, I have no problem making the same statement that I made this time a year ago. Too many changes on defense. That is going to be the question mark of the season. Since we said that last year, you're goddamn right I did, and I will say it this year too. The shot of you being right and having a top 5 defense is 1 billion to 1. Billion. I think if we get enough continuity late in the year, now this is a great take, and finish as a top 5 run defense, top 12 pass defense, we can get back to the bowl. Now you're coming down my lane here. How about this here? Weapon. You may struggle at the beginning of the season with your defense and your new faces. But as that defense, like the Chiefs a couple of years ago, when they beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl, if they get better and by the last month of the season, they're playing like a top 5 defense, but it may not show in the numbers, that's what we're talking about. That's where I think you're going to land this year. I think you're going to struggle for the first half of the season. The shit that I said a year ago will happen this year. Okay? With 5 new starters. I don't care how you put them in there. You get 5 new people in a building, and I don't care what the job is. You're going to get a completely different result. You're not going to get the same results. Never in the history of the league has that happened. But now all of a sudden it's going to happen. Hey, I really have great confidence in Keith. That's great to have confidence. He's never started it down. Get this. This is where you people, you're not listening. Lord Vaughn, did you start 5 guys in the Super Bowl and they are no longer on this team? Yes or no? The core has nothing to do with the unit. Reaching, okay, I'm not gonna point them out. Did you lose 5 starters off the Super Bowl roster? Shut the fuck up. Still, 5 new starters is an issue. The O will need to take pressure off the ball and control it. Kids will need to play into shape, and Vic will need to tweak the scheme a bit for the new skill set. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Okay? Yes. Yes. Okay? All I asked you, what will be different? But the core is still there. The middle of your defense in the opening couple weeks will not have the original core dudes. Dean, and CJ are gone. You're missing two people off the middle of your defense that you were sensationally strong at a year ago. You don't have the depth. Get this, Moro Ajomo filling in along with Booker for Sweat and Milton is a lot different than a rookie and someone who's never played. I have no problem with what I said a year ago. They did something unprecedented. They completely did. They're not doing that again. I've never seen it, covered it, played with it in my entire life being alive where I saw that happen again. Ever, especially in the Cap era. Sills, last year you said Slay was a bum. No, I said Slay was always hurt. Get it right, skid brains. Zach Bond was a bum. No, I said, who the fuck is he? Graham was too old. Well, he was. He fell apart. Not a bad take. Graham was too old. Well, he got hurt. He had an old man's injury. Okay, turned out to be correct. We started 4 new guys on our defense last year. So now, okay, you're doing it with who? A guy, a Dory Jackson, who got cut. Dude, I'm not really going to go any further with it because I don't believe it. If they do that, Vic Fangio will be an absolute Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. Okay? If he's able to do that. By the way, every time I hear John McMullen say that Vic's the best coordinator in the NFL, how could that be when the guy in Kansas City has 4 rings? How can that be? If you're telling me about accomplishments with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, how is Vic Fangio the best coordinator in pro football when the guy in Kansas City has 4 fucking rings on 2 different teams? I don't know. Maybe it's a coincidence, but he did stop Brady and he stopped Hurts once. I don't know. Wait a second. It's Andy Reid. Well, what did Spags do when he was in fucking New York? When he won those 2 Super Bowls as the coordinator and stopped Brady from going undefeated? It was at Andy Reid then too? I mean, hey, let me ask you something here. I mean, yeah, and guess what? Fangio got fired in Denver for being a shitty head coach. Hold on here. All this ring talk over simplifies evaluations. What? Steve Spagnuolo's got 4 rings. He's been to the Super Bowl 6 times with 6 conference championship rings. Where in the world is Vic Fangio in that room? Where in the world would you ever contemplate putting him into a Hall of Fame over the guy in Kansas City when the guy's got 6 conference championship rings? Let's see. He was there. He's been there 5 times in Kansas City. So wait, he's got 7 conference championship rings and 4 Super Bowl rings as a coordinator. And Vic's better? Get this. You're damn right. Leon, how is Vic Fangio a better D coordinator than a guy with 7 conference championship rings and 4 Super Bowl rings on 2 different teams? Where in the world? You're right. It is ridiculous. What are you talking about? What in the world would you be talking about? Vic Fangio wins 1 Super Bowl, has the #1 ranked defense, and he's the best DC in the league. A guy with 7 conference title rings and 4 Super Bowl wins on 2 different teams, and he's better. And by the way, he's been to 3 in a row. And Kansas City's a defensive football team now. Holy cow. Holy cow. That's insane. That's insane. Dude. 7 conference championship rings, 4 Super Bowls on 2 different teams. And that guy's not the best coordinator. I thought resumes matter to you freaks. Yeah, right. Because that's why Kansas City's been going to Super Bowls, because of Rashid Rice. Yeah, whatever. How long are we going to talk about this? This is not what same fucking topic. I asked you a question. What will be different from 18 to 23? If you can't follow along, Denny, take a knee and sit back and listen. I don't know what you're talking. I don't even know what I talked about this morning. You're ridiculous. Such a fucking idiot sometimes. No defense in the NFL is trying to duplicate Spagnuolo's defense. How come more than half of the league tries to copy Vic's scheme? Now, why would you think that? Hey, Skid Brains, why do you think that teams try to duplicate what he does, Vic Fangio, versus what they do with Spagnuolo? Why do you think that? Why would you think that? Because it's easier to play zone than it is man. That's why. Because it's easier to play zone. You have to give Nick credit if we give Spags credit. What do you mean? No, because Spags actually calls a defense. He's a play caller. He actually has a job. Thanks for the super, brother. Does Private Pile show up in shape? I'm sick. I'll tell you what. I'll go with Denny here on that one. I'm sick of talking about Donut Davis. You're damn right. I'm sick of talking about Donut Davis. That's a topic I'm not interested in. Absolutely. Till otherwise noticed. Absolutely. Mike Tomlin doesn't call plays. Mike Tomlin picks his coaching staff and picks the players for his roster. That's a fact. Nick does none of that. Bro, every time you say shit like that, you know the answer to. He does none of that. Mike Tomlin doesn't call. Mike Tomlin calls the shots. How he calls the shots in Philly. Yes or no, Leon? Leon, who calls the shots in Philly? Howie or Nick? You know who calls the shots in Pittsburgh. It's Tomlin. He calls the shots. Okay? He calls the shots. Leon, who calls the shots in Philly? Both. Ain't no both in Pittsburgh. Ain't no both in Pittsburgh. Okay? Ain't no call. He doesn't clear it with anybody. He doesn't clear it with anybody. Mike Tomlin makes the calls. Okay? He doesn't. Actually, the recommendation was by Frank Reich. When Nick got hired, Frank Reich on this program suggested that they bring Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni to Philadelphia so he could be his coordinator, because the owner of your football team called and wanted to get a recommendation from Frank Reich on who the next head coach was. And Frank gave it. You know why we know that? Frank on this program said it. Said it. Okay? He said it. Sills, the real issue I see here is that with all the talent and money invested in the offense, we should be able to weather the personnel changes on defense. We should be able to outscore everyone. Yeah, depending on how great Barkley plays. Hey, Bob, if Barkley has 1,400 yards this year, what kind of year do you think the Eagles will have? Bob, if Barkley has 1,400 yards, like pretty much every other running back after a 2,000-yard rushing season, albeit most of those guys did not have the offensive line that he has. That's an asterisk next to it because he does. Okay? You tell me. What do you think? How good do you think the team will be? 12-5. Okay? Okay, number 2 seed again. Never happened. Your defense a year ago put your offense in great field position when it came to your run game, not your pass game. I think it's more this year too. 11-6. That's where I'm thinking. If Barkley, there's an issue with Barkley. He goes for 1,400 yards. You'll be around 11-6. Because your defense is not going to put that offense in position. I just do not believe it. 1,400 yards rushing and nothing else changes will be a 10-17. Yeah, that's about right, Bob. 10-7, not 10-6, right? 10-7. Yes. Yes. Okay. So let me go here. By the way, guys, please hit the like button. So let me go here. I got to read you this comment. And I'm going to go here with this. And let me say this to you. I cannot believe how Vic Fangio, a year ago, now I know why he wasn't active for the Super Bowl. There is no question Vic Fangio laid the riot act out to Bryce Huff. And Bryce Huff did not like to be coached the way that Vic was coaching him. Okay? He did not take well to the type of talk and the way of the coaching style of Vic Fangio. That's a tough shit player thing, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care. You're not the boss, kid. I think Bryce Huff, his behavior, that dude fucking quit. He quit on you guys. Let me read his comment. So I even posted this on my X account. So did the former Eagle and current edge rusher for the Niners, Bryce Huff, quit on Philly? There's a plethora of things that went down. Like fucking what? Asking you to drop in coverage? Play the run? I don't want to get into specifics. What? Why would you want to get into specifics? That the coach asked you to do something? You know what this guy sounds like to me? Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. I have no respect for this guy. And I hear people say, I'm not wishing you anything. I don't want to get into specifics. Being in the league for 5 years, bro, that doesn't give you a hall pass. That's Joshua Uche. This guy thinks because he was in the NFL for 5 years, he should have been given a starting assignment early on in Philadelphia, and he didn't earn it. That's how I read that. I've been in the league. Listen to this shit. Bro, when a player talks, I know. As a reporter, they would never know. I know what this guy's saying. This is really kudos to Vic. Vic didn't give a shit what the guy was thinking. So get this. I want you to go and think like a player here, not a reporter. I don't want to get into specifics. Being in the league 5 years, bro, being in the league 5 years has no bearing on you being on the Philadelphia Eagles for 1 month. I kind of knew what it felt like for me being in a good situation. How could you be in a good situation in New York when they never offered you a contract to stay in New York? How in the world, and what is he talking about? The Jets didn't want him. The Jets did not want him. They didn't offer him They didn't offer him an extension. They let him walk out. Okay? Bryce Huff sounds like the entitled kid that just got paid. Here. I kind of knew for me to be in a good situation, I kind of looked out for myself and I did what was best. What's that? Quit? He didn't want to get hurt. This guy didn't want to go along with what they were asking him to do. So he just quit. He didn't want to be coached. And Vic said, I'll accommodate. You're not active for the Super Bowl. What a disgrace. When you get your Super Bowl ring, Vic is telling you you didn't deserve to be on the roster when we celebrated. My God. Do you know how embarrassing that is as a player? When a coach makes you a healthy scratch and he's telling you you don't deserve to be here. You don't deserve to be here with the rest of the guys. You're going to get your fucking ring, but you are not going to be part of the celebration. That's how I read that. Dude, he should put that in a closet and like open it up, because when he opens the box, someone will ask him, hey, how'd you get that Super Bowl ring? Well, they gave it to me. Why? Well, I wasn't on the Super Bowl team. You know, I played sparingly. I got hurt. Now I know when he got hurt, he wasn't really hurt. He didn't want to play through it. This guy quit. This guy quit. And Vic quit coaching him. And when Jalix Hunt started playing, it was over. Get this. This shit here is embarrassing. There's a plethora of things that went down, Huff said. I don't want to get into specifics. Being in the league 5 years, once again, there's a red flag. Hey, when you're a free agent, you sign to a new team. Those 5 years don't matter. You got to come in and prove it to your new coaching staff. I kind of knew what it felt like for me to be in a good situation. Again, you're in a good situation in New York with the Jets? How's that possible? They'll let you walk out the door. They didn't offer you a contract. I got to look out for myself and do what I think is best. Now I know. He was on injured reserve. He didn't want to play through it. I kind of knew where it was headed fairly early on into the season. Probably even training camp, if I'm being honest. So when everything popped off, it was just like, yeah, all right, let's get to work. I don't know what that shit means. All I know is that football player did not want to be in Philadelphia because they were starting to push the younger players, and Vic did not want that guy on his active roster at all. And when they activated him, he didn't want to go along with anything. Vic said, fuck it. And guess what? By the Super Bowl, he was a healthy scratch. A $17.8 million healthy scratch. What a loser. I've got to do what I think is best for me. Means he doesn't want to get hurt. So he shut it down. Huff had his faults, but Howie should have checked with Vic before signing him. 10 sacks and just 42 and a half snaps says he has value. How about this, Jack? Those sacks were on a what team? What were the Jets when he had those sacks? What kind of record did they have? Guy coming in situationally and not playing the 3 downs and not being versatile to be able to drop. Joshua Uche had 10+ sacks one year. How do you know Bryce Huff's not that guy? The Jets were 4-13 and he had 10 sacks. That's like telling me that Trey Hendrickson's 17 and a half sacks mattered in Cincinnati. They didn't. You know what? I had someone ask me, a Philly fan, hey, do you think we should go after Trey Hendrickson? I said no. Here's why. The 8.5 sacks you got from Nolan Smith are more valuable to me than the 17.5 sacks Trey Hendrickson got for me in Cincinnati. They meant nothing. You were still on the 30th ranked defense in the league. It meant nothing. Nothing. Nolan Smith's sacks meant more. They were dictating a number 1 ranked defense. Get this. What do you think matters more? 8.5 sacks on a Super Bowl team or 17.5 on a shitty 9-7 football team? It's not close. I'm not paying $30 million for a guy who got 17.5 sacks on a shitty team. For what? For what? Nolan Smith had a better year, half a year, than Trey Hendrickson did. But Trey Hendrickson's going to get paid. And then he'll go somewhere and flop. You know why? Because when you're on a good team, again, you got to stay more in structure. Hey, outside of Chris Jones, I can't remember an edge rusher in Kansas City. Can you? Do you guys remember a 10+ sack guy in Kansas City during the Andy Reid time? Can you remember that? I can't. The kid from Purdue's probably got a bunch of sacks. Abe, I don't know what the Galifactus kid, I don't know how many he had. He may have had double digits. I don't know. But I can't remember the last time somebody had double-digit sacks in Kansas City from the perimeter. And I'm not talking Chris Jones. So as a player, you need to be in a good situation. Being on a team was a good situation. The Jets were a good situation, according to him. That's what, according to him, and that says it all. That's right, Ronald. So as a player, you need to be in a good situation. Being on a team wasn't a good situation. The Jets were a good situation, according to him, and that says it all. You're damn right. He'd rather get into a place where he can do what he wants and his skill set, and it doesn't matter if they're 7-10. He doesn't give a shit about that. He just wants to be in a good position to accentuate his skills and not do what it takes to win. He is a bad teammate. 23, he had 10.5. Okay, good. I'm going to tell you flat out, that guy would rather be on a losing team. I think that fucker quit on you. Just listening to him, I knew early on I wasn't going to be here. You know why? Vic probably started looking at, I'll tell you what pissed him off. Are you ready for this? Do you know what pissed him off? When he saw Vic putting the younger players in and not going by seniority. There's a lot of players in this league that does not like that. When you start playing younger players like Cooper and Q, and you start throwing them around, and you start seeing how he puts the younger guys in like Jalix, there's no doubt when he started playing Jalix Hunt after BG got hurt, that probably riled him like you won't believe. Because you know what Vic did? Well, I'm going to put the guy who's working harder in practice and getting better, and he's a homegrown guy before I'm going to do that. Vic looked at that $17.5 million and said, I don't care. That's why Howie really respects his word. Yeah, RC3. Nolan made him quit. So did I think Jalix Hunt made him quit. I think Jalix Hunt made him quit. Stills last year, Barkley, Hurts, and Gainwell ran for 29-25, assuming he's healthy. A.J. Dillon is a huge upgrade over Gainwell. Should cover any minor drop in production Barkley may have. That's if he's healthy, and I agree. He's not. A.J. Dillon is not in Green Bay because he stinks. A.J. Dillon is not in Green Bay because of injury. Huff sounds like Devin White. Yeah, those guys didn't like the younger players were getting the reps. Xavier, this guy was totally a bitch in the locker. This guy was worse, in my opinion, than Reddick. Reddick was productive. Reddick had 11 and a half sacks, and he started the season out in a cast. This guy got hurt, and it was over because he didn't want to play. Reddick played through the injury. Man, what a bad sign by Howie. You can't get them all right because I turn around and go like this to you. Well, he got Burks and Zach Bond, and he got Isaiah Rodgers, and he got Mekhi Becton right. Okay, $17 million didn't work. That's okay. It didn't cost us because the other two kids panned out. It's a wash. Actually, it's an upgrade. It's an actual upgrade. Hey, I sucked on the Huff, but I got the others right in spades. Okay, I'm all right with that. Do you think that plays towards the mentality, the mental fortitude of our guys, or the mental weakness of Huff? Great question. I think both. Hey, Reyes, how about this? Do you think both could be true? Do you think both? Your question, do you think both can be true? That the players have mental fortitude, and I believe that. And I think Huff is mentally weak. I thought he felt that, you know what he did? He felt entitled, Reyes, because he signed that $17.5 million contract. I mean, I'm reading this shit, and I'm going like this. You gotta be fucking kidding me. This guy quit. He totally quit on you. I mean, it's possible. If our rookies are level-headed enough to outdo a veteran in that depth, it says a lot. Yeah, I believe that's true. I totally do. I think Q and Cooper showed tremendous poise. I mean, they played like veterans. On the number one ranked defense, they were an essential part. Zach Bond, Q, Cooper, Carter, the edge rushers, Slay, all of that. DJ, all played a major factor. and that defense being number one. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. You can tell what guys are playing for the money in this league. And hey, RC3, 75% of the guys in this league are playing for the money, even on good teams, because they have no control over anything else but their own sandbox. Very seldom do you get an organization where you got players. It goes into what Xander says about them Georgia boys. Shields entitlement's a real drug. Bryce Huff and Puff is soft, lazy, and now he went to the Niners, who already have a quitting problem. So sad. Hey, fuck him. He quit. Listen, one more time. If you just listen to this as a player, okay? I mean, and I even wrote, so did former Eagle, and now current Niner edge rusher, Bryce Huff, quit on the Eagles? I put a question mark. There's a plethora of things that went down. I don't want to get into specifics. Being in the league for 5 years, what does that have to do with going to a new team? You feel you're entitled to start over the rookies? Boy, that's a testament to Vic Fangio right there. Vic Fangio, they signed a guy for $17.5 million. Guy been in the league 5 years. And you know what Vic said? Fuck you. I think Huff had his feelings hurt early and sulked inside. Hey, that's right. Instead of manning up. No doubt about it. I kind of knew what it felt like to be in a good situation. I think he meant people liked him. You know what? Here's something to think about, too. I knew what it felt like to be in a good situation. You know what he's telling you? My coach really wasn't embracing me. NFL coaches don't embrace you. They're there to teach you. They're there to win. They're not to be butt buddies with you. They got a job too. You know what your job is? To perform. You know what their job is? To prepare you. It's not to sit around and go on dinner dates. Holy shit, this guy, I won't say the word because my aunt watches the program, but it rhymes with wussy. Boy, I'll tell you, holy cow, this guy is not mentally tough. Jesus criminy. My coach really didn't like me. You know, I've been in situations before when coaches embrace, bro, the Jets told you to get out. This is sad. I got to look out for myself and do what I think is best. You know what that is? You know what that's code for? I'm not playing through injury. You ask a reporter those comments, he's going to completely see something different. You ask any football player to dissect that guy's comments about his time in Philly, he'll tell you exactly what I just said. See, there's a difference when a guy's holding a pad and writing about it. There's another thing when you're collecting paychecks and you're in that room with them dudes. And you know how people talk. This guy didn't play through injury. He didn't want to do what they were telling him to do because why? He couldn't play 3 downs. He wanted to be I guarantee you, Bryce Huff thought he was coming here to be a situational pass rusher, and the Eagles wanted him to come here and do what Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith are doing, be a 3-down player. He didn't want to be a 3-down player because he's not a 3-down player. This is why I'm all over this. Clint Hurt completely agrees with me. I was like this. That guy fucking quit. You know what he said? He sulked around the locker room. I'm like, what? How can a guy making $17.5 million sulk around a locker room? He didn't think the coaches were playing him right. Get this. Did you hear what I just said? He didn't think the coaches were playing him right. No, kid. When a coach asks you to play a position, you play it to the best of the scheme. Now I know why the Eagles were number one. Vic found people who wanted to buy into the scheme. Remember what Dave Wannstedt said. The scheme won't fail you in Philly. The players in the scheme will. Remember, prior to the Super Bowl year, Wannstedt came on this program because he worked with him in Chicago. And he said, the scheme won't fail. It's a pretty damn good scheme, especially in today's NFL. Two-eye safety, playing zone. If you're a corner, it's a dream made in heaven for you because you're not pressed up the line of scrimmage where you can get beat by a quick move inside or outside by a skilled wideout and give up the plus 25 play. Why do you think you don't give up plus 25 plays? Because you're 10 yards off the ball. It's almost literally impossible to get beat deep in this system. It's impossible unless you have people who don't know what they're doing at the perimeter. Impossible. Okay? Impossible. It's made for aging corners. Darius Slay's career exploded in Philly. He was marginal as a man cover guy in Detroit. He would get beat. I won't say marginal. He was better. He was not a marginal guy in Detroit. But he got beat a lot more in Detroit than he did here. Why? You're 10 yards off the ball. So the reason I'm bringing this up, okay? The reason I'm bringing this up, Vic's got to find the right players that are on your roster right now. I don't know what that is going to entail. He did it a year ago. Vic was on a golf course, was asked the same question. You know what? You guys get on my shit for the same things the coordinator tells you. I'm just echoing what he said. Fangio a year ago, how good do you think your defense is going to be? I won't know until week 10. He said that. When I say it, you guys have a meltdown. He said the same shit I did. And he'll say the same thing now. Okay? Get this. He played fucking man in Detroit. Not zone. This defense will be great again. The players are completely bought into Vic's plan and scheme. Get this, though, Trenton. I agree with you. But here, what players? What players? You didn't know that Oren Burks, Isaiah Rodgers, or Zach Vaughn. Vic didn't know. They had Devin White. They had James Bradbury. They had other players they were paying more money to. Bryce Huff. Think about this, guys. This is the chess game that Vic's playing. A year ago, you had a guy you gave $5 million to in Devin White. You had another guy you gave $17.8 million to in Bryce Huff. You had another corner that was $11.2 million. Every single one of those players had zero impact on the number 1 ranked defense, and you were paying them. Get this. You see this guy? I'll help him out. So the people that you think are going to start, you have no idea on July 7th until Vic sees it. That's why so. That's why. Think about that. Bradbury, 11.2, 17.5, and then $5 million. You had $33.7 million paid to players that had zero impact on your defense. Zero. $33.7 million. You paid to players that had no impact. Zero on your number 1 ranked defense. That's insane. Zero. Because Vic said this. Well, remember what they were going to use Zach Bond for? They were going to use him as an edge rusher. They were going to use him as an edge rusher. They said no after they got rid of Bond, after they got rid of Devin White, they go, I will try him inside. Remember what Vic told you? He can always tell that a guy could be a good linebacker if he's good on special teams. He's had that since he had that great linebacking core in New Orleans when he was the linebacker coach with Vaughn Johnson and Pat Swilling and them dudes down there and Ricky Jackson. He knew exactly. Guaranteed. Yeah. How many top? Okay. I'm not debating. I'm not. Guaranteed? Sure. Okay. The Dome Patrol. They were phenomenal. That was one of the best linebacking cores in pro football history. And you remember this too, Kyle. That was in the era when you had Banks, Carson, and Taylor and Van Pelt and Reasons in New York. And you had that linebacking core up in Chicago. The linebacking cores in the National Football League back in those days were exceptional. I mean, even the 49ers. Seals, Jimmy told you last year that Jalix didn't know what he didn't know. That naive mindset allowed Hunt to play with no expectations. He just balled out when given his chance and his reps. He got better the more reps they gave him. Absolutely true. That's right. Sam Mills was with Vic when he was with the Philadelphia Stars. By the way, that was a hell of a linebacking core. I'll tell you this, and I'll make this statement to you. That Philadelphia Stars team that you had in the mid-'80s, I mean, that Stars team could have given that Eagle team that you had in 85 and 84, they could have beat them. How many future All-Pros did you have on that Stars team? You had NFL Hall of Famers on that Stars team. That team was fantastic. Remember, it was a completely different USFL than what you see today with the UFL. They were competing for talent. And they were competing in the draft like the NFL. It was a completely different league. They were competing against the NFL. Okay? Completely competing against the NFL. Yeah, like this guy, get this. Like that 84 Eagle team was good. Yeah, okay. Get this. The majority of the starters off that championship Stars team all got signed by NFL teams. guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Almost every one of those starters on that Stars team. By the way, Vic Fangio was the defensive linebacker coach for that team. And now he's got the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL. Yeah, okay. Sills, I saw Football Life on Bruce Smith. He almost went to NC State. The scout for NC State was Pete Carroll. I didn't know that. I thought, you sure it wasn't Bill Cowher? Because Bill Cowher, he was at NC State too. He was a player. So Kyle, I'll take your word it was Carroll, but I know that Bill Cowher, he went to NC State and played college football at NC State. Imagine asking another man that you don't know if you should block him on YouTube, Hogan. We have a better roster than the Chiefs, and they went to 3 championships. Yeah, but you don't have a better quarterback. That guy does more with less. And the reason that they don't pay people on offense is because, again, like I said, there's only 2 dudes on offense that can start in Philly. The quarterback and the center. And the center in Philly's good. Ronald, the Stars were, dare I say, better than the Birds in 84, Sills. They had a better O-line and better backers. Absolutely true. Absolutely. Get this. With less, whose fault is that? The Chiefs cannot pick a good wide receiver. The Chiefs don't pick wide receivers. They pick tight ends. Andy Reid doesn't believe in superstar wide receivers. Deshaun Jackson's his best receiver and Tyreek Hill he's ever had. And he's won Super Bowls without both of them. He won without Tyreek Hill. He's been a tight end-driven guy. With less. Whose fault is that? It's the way that they're designed, senor. It's the way they're designed. Get this. Are you trying to tell me you think that Rashid Rice and Sky Moore, who the fuck is that? Rashid Rice, and this guy's trying to sell you like they're A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Worthy would be the number 3 guy. So what? So what? Jahan Dotson's a bust as a first rounder. Big deal. Sills, Don Capers was the DB coach on the 84 Stars. I know. That staff was sensational that Jim Moore Sr. had. You criticized Nakobe Dean for being a 3rd rounder more than the Chiefs. What do you mean I compare? The only reason I get on Dean is because he can't stay healthy. Bro, whether it's a lack of talent or health, pick one. Pick one. Pick one. Yeah, and remember, Jalen had a shitty roster in 21. He didn't have a shitty O-line. That is untrue. So what? Do you think that, let me ask you something, Texas fucking dickhead. Do you think that Xavier Worthy could start in Philly at the 1 or 2 spots? Yes or no? Do you? Do you think Worthy is the better player than Smitty? Can't debate that. This guy's a master debater. Dan, are you going to see Sky Moore dance in Magic City. Dude, I don't know. Sky Moore, it's like a stripper name. Table 7. I mean, hey, you see Sky Moore in Kansas City at that strip club? Yeah. I'll tell you what, man, she had 2 great personalities. Sky Moore. This fucking hilarious. Senorita's making Sky Moore sound like Jerry Rice. Sky Moore. Hey, Rasheed Rice and Sky Moore. Those guys are insane. Who? My God. Sky Moore. Get this. Just like Sills is going to say the Bills don't have offense. They don't. They're, again, senor, nobody in the Bills or the Chiefs huddles combined can start in Philly, except for the quarterbacks and Creed Humphrey. That's it. 22 players. Only 3 could start. The 2 quarterbacks, Mahomes and Allen, and Creed Humphrey. That's it. That's it. So what? So what? Doesn't mean you're better. What's my point? Somebody said in here, Sills, he does more with less? Yes. Yes. Hey, homie, Hurts ain't better than Cam Newton as a talent. I wouldn't be throwing Josh Allen out there. He's not better than Cam Newton. I saw that going around. And I saw that going around Twitter over the weekend. It was trending. He's not better than Cam. Cam took a shitty Carolina team to the Super Bowl. Won the most valuable player. I mean, Cam Newton was a phenomenal player in Carolina who hasn't been good since he left. Let me ask you this. Has Carolina been good since Cam Newton left? No. Cam Newton put that franchise on his back. Sills, except you, a lot of people have jumped on the O-line bandwagon as an excuse for their teams and quarterbacks playing bad. Dude, it's a privilege that Jalen Hurts has that great O-line. Okay? It's a privilege. Not everybody gets drafted to good organizations. Let me ask you something. Is that an epiphany or something by you guys? That you think players get drafted to really good places? And like organizations? You'll have to help me out. What was Cincinnati and Buffalo before those guys showed up? I mean, the Eagles had won a Super Bowl and been to a couple of them prior to Hurts getting there. Wasn't like they sucked. Those other organizations blew. Okay? Cam will never have a Super Bowl ring, but Hurts will get this. So, that don't mean you're better. Hurts is not a better quarterback than Warren Moon. He is not. We're not talking about accomplishments. Bob Greasy's accomplished. I tried to make that point. No one wants to hear it because Greasy's not really one of the prolific quarterbacks. You put his resume up next to anybody, he'll blow their doors off. Hurts would be lucky if he had a resume like Bob Greasy's resume. He'd be lucky. Three straight AFC championships, 2 Super Bowls in a row, and an undefeated team. The one and only undefeated team in NFL history. I don't know. That's awful accomplished. If it doesn't mean Hurts is better, then why did Sills move up Jalen Hurts in the top 5? Said he'll never move him below 5. Because I think he is one of the better quarterbacks. And he's proven in the system that they have in Philly that he knows how to use the talent. And the most important thing that he does, he sacrifices his numbers. No quarterback in the NFL would ever say, take the ball out of my hands and I'm cool with it. Nobody. It's why Marino never won a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is the complete opposite of Dan Marino. Complete opposite. Marino never wanted the ball taken out of his hands. Jimmy wanted to run the ball more. He wanted to run the ball. Okay? And Marino didn't. All right. Howard Eskin's going to join us at 4:30. We still down in Hollow? Are we? Yeah. I don't know what happened here. I went over with. I kept trying to do it throughout the whole thing. It says there's that issue. It just won't do it, man. I don't know. So see if we can fix it. I apologize, guys. We'll get this thing straightened out here. But tell you what, man, those guys had a great show today. And I heard Xander say something that's important. People are going to start flocking back here because, I mean, tomorrow I think we're 14 days out from the start of training camp for the Eagles. We'll be 4 days out from the Chargers starting. 4 days out from training camp, which is insane. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Scoopers go to the top. We will read them at the end. Howard Eskin will join us at 4:30 as well. Without further ado, we bring in from the show in the morning, Birch 365, Big Z, Xander Krause. How you doing?
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
Oh, good. Xander, still, man? Still a little bit, right?
It's a little better, but we'll fix it after. It's not too
All
bad.
right.
Don't worry
All
about
right.
it, man. Don't worry about
How
it.
was your 4th, bro?
It was good, man. You know, great to spend some time with the family. Obviously, I love this great country that we live in, that we're privileged to live in. So a beautiful time to be alive, Big Sills. And, you know, it's always a special 4th of July when the Philadelphia Eagles are the world champions of football. And that's what they are right now. So this 4th of July has been the best 4th of July since the 2018 4th of July. So a big shout out to the Birds, baby, for getting it done and making this a better 4th than most. All right. So well done to the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right. Well, let me ask you then. It leads right into the top question. What will be different from this 18 and the 23 teams moving into 2025? What will be the difference?
The youth. I mean, look at the difference in the approach by the front office. They brought, you know, in 18, they obviously brought back, made the mistake of kind of doubling down on the Alshon Jeffries of the world. And as much as I love Alshon, obviously there was a lot of decisions there that they made to bring back some of the older guys that maybe they probably shouldn't have. But when you win your first Super Bowl, you create an emotional attachment to them. And you do that. I think this team is a younger unit, and that's no guarantee that it's going to work better. But I do think that that's going to give them the opportunity, or that is the difference of what they did. And no guarantee it works, but I do think it gives you a better chance. It's a young man's game. And so I think the biggest difference with the Eagles' young guys is I think they got the right young guys. Like, not every team where you get young guys isn't like, oh, it's a young man's game, this is going to work. I think when you look across the board at some of our young guys, you got Jalen Carter is obviously a young player. You got Cooper and Quinion on the defensive side of the football. Even on offense, I mean, Jalen Hurts is only 27 years old. Saquon Barkley's 28 years old. A.J. Brown's 28. This is a young football team with really, really exceptional football players on all sides of the ball. And I think that's going to be the difference. Now, will the pieces fill in around them? That's yet to be determined, but I think they got a good chance, and that is the difference in my eyes from 18 and 23.
What do you think wins Super Bowls, youth or experience?
I think I think threading the needle on that is the hardest part. I think you need youth, and I think you need experience. And finding threading that needle is a very hard thing to do. And Howie did it perfectly last year. Everything worked perfectly. I think even Eagles fans, even the most devout Eagles fans could look and say, well, there's no guarantee this works again. I mean, I like what they did, but last year was a perfect combo. Is it going to be the same? It will not be the same. Could it work? I think it could work. It will look different. Did they go too young? I got to be honest, that's probably one of my concerns coming into the year. Now, I don't think they did, but it wouldn't surprise me if that becomes a storyline later in the year because, man, it's a very, very young football team. And I do think that balance is important. I mean, look at what Slay brought. Look at what Brandon Graham brought last year. Look at what even your guys, Josh Sweat, he was 28 or 29 years. He was an older guy. He's been in the league for a long time. So you lose some of those guys and you put all the pressure on the young guys to step up. Again, I think we got a special group of young guys, but will they thread the needle? I think so, Big Sales.
How about this one here? I'm going to go two sides here with you. First, I'm going to go glass half full on the positive end. Why will the Eagles repeat as champions?
Why will the Eagles repeat as champions? Because they're a dominant football team. They're the best. They're still, even with all their losses, I think someone like you who is eternally pessimistic.
Because I don't believe you're doing that.
Well,
again.
That's fine. And I'm not knocking you. I'm saying somebody with your mindset would look at this team and still say, well, that's still the best roster in the NFC. I think you'd say, I don't want to speak for you, but I think even you guys, someone like John who tries to be objective, I think that's why. And I think they have a great team. I think they have the right quarterback for the team. I think they have the right defensive coordinator for the team. And I think they have the big pieces in place. And I could see him going back. That's why they'll win it.
No one's said that to me and asked me that. Sills, do you think the Eagles have the best roster in the league? I do.
That's a big statement.
Now, I do. However, I think it's very inexperienced all over the board, and most definitely on the defensive side. So I'll ask you this side. Why won't the Eagles repeat as champions?
Defense doesn't pan out. Young guys don't take the step forward. You need them to take the step forward. Defenses take away Saquon Barkley, and the offense doesn't adjust. Now, I don't think all these things will happen. I'm just saying if they don't win, these are the things I presume we will talk about. The offense has to obviously become more versatile this year, in my opinion. I think they're going to be asked to be more versatile. I think they're going to, by way of necessity, will need to be more versatile. And then the defense. I mean, you've talked about it all summer, and I think rightfully so. We've talked about it all summer on Birds 365. There's a lot of change there. There's a lot of change there. Now, you can be optimistic and say, I believe the change will be good. But that's no guarantee. That's no guarantee. And to be fully transparent, if they brought back every player in the defense, it'd be an optimistic take. So, kind of pick your poison. They picked the youth pill, and let's see if it pans out for them. But I think they're in a good spot. I think if I'm being I don't know. Tell me if you think this is crazy. I think Howie in the front office has done close to everything they could to position this team to repeat. It doesn't mean everything's going to work out, but I think from their perspective, they did about as much as they could. Now, someone could say, why the hell did you get rid of CJ Gardner-Johnson? And I would agree with that. That was the one move I think they made that made people question, what the goal was or the vision was, but they brought back Goddard. They brought back Vaughn. You got all the offensive linemen coming back with the exception of Mekhi Becton. I think they've done everything to put themselves in the right position. Now, will the players on the field and the coaches, in the locker room be able to get the most out of the team? That's yet to be determined.
There's no question their plan was to force Goddard into making less money because the only move they made was that Harrison Bryant kid. They didn't draft the guy, and that worked.
Yeah, it
And
did.
it worked, okay? And I think this, Andrew, you said this about Howie putting him in a position. I think Howie had a dual track plan. I got to worry about 26 and 27 financially, and I've got to worry about us being in the conversation about being one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. He's done both. Again, I don't think the league caught you. I think you moved. Get this. The league, I had a conversation with somebody about you guys today, and I said this. They took the step back. The league didn't take the step up. Does that make sense? Like, the league didn't make a step up. You made a step back. When you got teams making giant leaps, I'll tell you what, I think the Rams getting Devontae Adams, adding him over Cooper Kupp, I think that elevated their offense a little more. They got better in the offensive line, I do believe. They're a year older. Will Father Time catch up with Stafford? I think we're starting to get there at 37, where he is. But I don't think the league moved forward. You moved back. I think there's a difference, Andrew, because you moving back and them not catching you allows you the autonomy to make steps for 26 and 27. That's how I think he looked at this offseason. Nobody got a 2-year contract. Doesn't that tell you something? And nobody got real big money.
And I don't think the step back is in cement. And what I mean by that is, you're right, it's projection to project that they will work out. But they did not sign a bunch of older, shittier guys that are going to put you in cement. You're definitely worse. Like, let me just give you a scenario. And again, this is optimistic. Jalix Hunt has double-digit sacks or becomes a versatile player. Nolan Smith takes another step forward. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell take another step. Zach Bond is another first-team All-Pro. Moro Jomo can rush the passer successfully. Ty Robinson fills in as a good backup piece. Again, it's a lot of things going right, but that's what I mean when you pull back, but you're not in cement back there. You know, you could propel forward. You could be better. Doesn't mean they will be, but they do have that opportunity. So, you pulled back a little bit, but maybe it's a pullback to get better. That's kind of how I see it. I think that's what the front office sees too, and we'll see if that pans out for him.
Why do you think that Zach Bond is not a one-year wonder?
Well, I think when you watch his play and when you actually watch him from down to down, nothing about him screams to you one-year player. Now, I only have the benefit of seeing 1 year, so I can't really speak on the bigger MO. But I think when you watch the player and you watch the skill set and you look at the way he fit into the system and the way that Vic used him, I think he's at the very worst will be a good linebacker. Maybe he's not first team All-Pro again, but I think at the very least he's going to be a good to great linebacker, a top 10 linebacker in football because of the system and because of the way he plays in his skill set. Now, unless he gets hurt, unless he has a drastic fall in talent, and unless he's used completely differently in the defense this year, I don't really see him going back that much further. And you're right, it's 1 year, but I think the player's mature. I think the guy understands what he's being asked to do. And I think he is in a great position to kind of go out there and be a great player again for this team. It's 1 year, so it is hard to say, but I feel very confident in Zach Bond. I really do.
A couple things with that. Do you think the NFL has a lot of game tape on Jalen Hurts now and the things he does well and the things he doesn't do well?
I think they certainly have a good amount of tape on him. The thing I'd say that's a positive is it's all different tape. Each year, it's a different version of the player. He's
had to evolve in some way.
Right. I mean, I think year 5, you could look at the tape through years 1 through 4 and be like, well, what are we going to get in year 5? Are we going to get 22? Or are we going to get 23? Are you going to get 24? Or is 25 going to be another new version of him?
How about offensive coordinators getting the tape on Zach Bond, not knowing who the fuck he was ever, not knowing who that player was? All of a sudden now, bro, you're a different human now. You're a guy's number they circle. And they're going to have a game plan for you. They're going to have crossing blocks. They're going to have big people on you. They're going to be going for you. This is going to be a completely different year for him. You know, Xander, it's one thing to come out of the darkness and nobody know who the hell you are, and you could just jump out at people.
Right.
He ain't that guy no more. Your first team All-Pro, They go after Fred Warner. They went after Ray Lewis. They went after these guys.
And here's the take. I mean, here is what the Eagles bet on. You can game plan for Fred Warner all you want, or know he's there all you want. That's still Fred Warner.
Yeah.
And he's still going to be that good. So the bet that the Eagles right, the bet that the Eagles made was that even with that knowledge that now the rest of the league has, that player is good enough. And I like bringing up the 90s Cowboys example because I think it's a good one. You knew Troy Aikman and Emmett and Michael Irvin were good. They didn't give a shit. You still couldn't stop it. Well, that's going to be what it's going to have to be with Zach Bond this year. You can know he's there. You can game plan for him. You can, know that the Eagles defense is built around him, but he still has to be a good enough player to play through that and make an impact on the team. I think he will be.
Who do you think had a bigger impact on the Eagles winning the Super Bowl a year ago, Zach Bond or Barkley?
Barkley. Well, that's
you don't mean that Super Bowl. That defense held Mahomes to not getting across the 50.
But what does that team look like without Barkley? What does that defense look like without Barkley?
What's that defense
this is such a tough question because it's such a tough question, though, because it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is the defense as good as they were without Barkley? Is Barkley as good as he was without the defense? In the Super Bowl game, yes, the defense obviously played a bigger role than Barkley did, but do you get to the Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley? That's such a catch-22. It's a very hard question to answer. I think if you take one of those guys, either one of them, off the team last year, you might not win the Super Bowl. I think you could say that about Bond. I think you could say that about Barkley. So it's a tough one to answer.
So who do you think had more of an impact on his unit a year ago, Barkley or Zach Bond?
Well, Saquon Barkley just had the single best rushing season in the history of the NFL.
And you were number one on defense.
Yeah, but there's been number one defenses before. There's never been a 25-03 runner or whatever.
He's never had a number one defense win the Super Bowl. Ever.
Is that right?
Yeah.
No, that can't be right.
You've never had the number one ranked defense that won the Super Bowl. Ever.
In the NFL?
No, you haven't.
In Philly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my point is you've never had a Saquon Barkley. There has been other number one defenses in the NFL. There has never been a Saquon Barkley.
I don't remember the last time a team that was number one in defense won a Super Bowl.
Was Peyton Manning's Broncos team number one in defense? No, probably not.
Oh, with Von Miller, maybe. When that defense was insane. Hey, maybe that Seattle team when the Seahawks team back in the day when they had those guys, yeah.
Yeah, the number one, the 15 Broncos were the number one ranked defense in the NFL.
With Von Miller, because Von was the MVP actually in that game.
Seattle might have been two.
Yeah, but it's very rare when you see this. I gotta bring this up here.
Wait, so here we go. 2010 Packers were the number one defense in football. 2013 Seahawks were the number one defense in football. 2016 Patriots were the number one defense in football. Okay, and then you go offensively. You have 99 Rams were the first overall offense. 97 Broncos were the first overall offense. 96 Packers were the first overall offense. 95 Cowboys were the first overall offense. 94 Niners were the first overall offense. So more instances of offensive ranking, but interesting on the defensive front. You have 16, you had 18 with the Broncos, you had 13 with the Seahawks, 2010 with the Packers. So there's your instances of the first overall defenses winning the Super Bowl.
All right, guys, please super chats and hit the like button. I got to read you some. I got a couple more things here for you. So let me read this to you. I heard John's comments, and John just brushed them off. When I heard them, I fucking hit the fan. So I tweeted this out. So did former Eagle and current 49er edge rusher Bryce Huff quit on the Eagles?
Kind of.
There's a plethora of things that went down. I'm quoting him. I don't want to get into specifics. Being in the league for 5 years, but if you know anything about Vic, that means Dick. I kind of knew what it felt like for me to be in a good position. You know what he's telling you? Coaches embraced him, liked him, and wanted to coach him. Here's the next line. I got to look out for myself and do what I think is best. What the fuck does that mean? Does that mean you didn't play through injury? Hell, even Hassan Reddick played through injury. Then he goes on. I kind of knew where it was heading fairly early on in the season. You know why? That's when they started playing Nolan and they started playing Hunt when PG got hurt in that Ram game. Probably even training camp, if I'm being honest. You know what they asked him to do? They signed him to be a 3-down player because they drafted Hunt to be a 3-down player. They wanted Nolan Smith to be a 3-down player, but he wasn't capable of doing it. How many times did Xander Krause last year in the first 3-4 weeks of the season say, Stills, this fucker's a liability? He knew it immediately. So you know what he did? Do you know the most embarrassing thing here about this? So when you get your Super Bowl box and you were fucking deactivated for the game.
Yeah, now we know why he was, by the way.
Because Vic didn't want him around.
And like you just said, he was on Cancun mentally.
He completely had checked out of this team in training camp.
Well, maybe that's why he stunk so bad.
And here's why it matters. Get this. It doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Here's why. That fucking defensive coordinator is going to look at the pieces on the field, and he's going to do this. Who plays? Who do I start here? Think about what you had a year ago, Xander. You had $11.2 million in Bradbury. You had $17.5 in Huff. And you had another $5 in Devin White. You had $33 million that paid no dividends for the number 1 ranked defense because that coordinator went like this. Fuck them guys. I don't care what the front office paid him. I'm playing Isaiah Rodgers, who was just coming off his bookie. Guy's been out of ball a year. I'm playing these 2 rookies, and I'm putting these people in. I'm putting Tristan McCullum in.
Yeah.
And he thought, like Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey, that, hey, I'm entitled because you gave me the contract. He thought he was going to roll in here because of the contract that Howie gave him, and he was going to have first dibs on being a starter and him playing the full year. And Vic said this, no way. That tells you a lot about that guy, dude.
Yeah. It was never going to work out. I mean, he checked out as is, but he was not going to work in this defense anyway, the way that Vic plays defense. So, but you're right. I mean, I think it's an egregious look. And I don't, the one guy said it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for the Eagles. We got Super Bowl rings. It doesn't really matter. But what Sills is saying does highlight, stuff about the coordinator, highlights stuff about the player as well. Can you imagine Sills making $18 million and cashing in at training camp? I mean, shit, I don't make anywhere close to that. I grind my ass off 365 days of the year, just like you do. Just like everybody in the chat, how many people work every day for a living and don't make $18 million and don't check out on their job? Just the thought of checking out on your job tells me all I need to know about who you are as a man. I mean, I'm sorry. That is ridiculous.
You know what I would have done, honest to God, so that I felt part of it? I would have volunteered to play special teams. I would have done something to get on the field and let the coaches know that I'm in this.
You just got to work your ass off. I mean, even if you're not playing, work your ass off. Be a good player, be a good teammate.
Oh, they're paying you. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't get that. I wasn't wired like that. I wasn't raised like that. I can't understand that because I've always had a strong work ethic and things of that nature, and I just don't really understand that. But again, I do think at some point, when you make as much money as they're making, some of these guys get a little jaded in the head. And maybe Bryce Huff was that. But good riddance. See you, brother. I don't miss you. I also don't really have ill will toward him because I don't really give a shit. We won the Super Bowl. So fuck him and see you, brother.
But again, I think it says more about Vic.
It does. It was never going to work with Vic, though. Don't you agree? Even if Bryce Huff had a good year, or it was not going to work with Vic. I mean, he's a wide nine. He's a wide nine edge rusher. That
Remember
wasn't going
what
to work.
I kept bringing up to you? Remember everyone kept saying I was full of shit when I was going like this. You think Vic Fangio's talking highly of this guy? How many times did I say that last year? Vic Fangio is not talking highly of this guy, and this was in the first 3 games of the year. He never said anything positive about the guy. And you know what I think happened? I think Jalix Hunt ran this guy into the white flag. I think Jalix Hunt made him quit.
Well, Jalix Hunt does. Jalix Hunt, I know we're the guy still has to pan out and has a long way to go yet, but his skill set matches what Vic Fangio wants. It does. That player, he's got versatility. He can drop into coverage. He'll do what you want. He's fast off the edge. He sets the edge well. He does all the things in theory that Vic would want him to do, and Bryce doesn't do any of those things. So you might be right about that. It's good. It's good. It's a good call out by you.
All right. In 2025, who's the one player you want to see you're most excited about this year seeing?
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts. He's 27. He's going into the prime of his career. His evolution as a quarterback, I think, is getting close to reaching where he will be at his ceiling because of what he took on last year at the line of scrimmage. You're now going into year 2 of that. It's your offense. Everybody knows Saquon Barkley is there now, okay? And they're going to do their best to take it away. What will Jalen do to manage the game, to manage the team, to manage the offense, and to put this team back in a position where they can go back and repeat as Super Bowl champions? Because in my estimation, the same version of Jalen Hurts last year will not win you the Super Bowl this year. And I don't think that's a knock on the player at all. I think that's the circumstance of last year's team. When you look at this year's team, let's factor in a 20% regression on defense and you slide to top 7 in defense. Okay, you're losing some steam there. Let's factor in Saquon Barkley doesn't get 2,500. He gets 2,000, including the playoffs. All right, that's about a 20% regression there. Where is the rest of that coming? In my eyes, it's the quarterback. I'm very excited for this year of Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to have his best year ever. And I think that's why he's going to be back in the MVP conversation, because I think that the team is going to dictate that he's going to be needed more. And I think he's ready for it. I think he's positioned better now than he was in 23 or even 22. And that's who I'm most excited for, without a shadow of a doubt. That's the guy I'm most excited for. Really, I think this if Jalen Hurts comes out and plays like an MVP this year, okay, how much does that make up for in any regression you have on defense and in the running game? That's where I think this team gets back to the Super Bowl. If Jalen takes it to the next level, which it's not a knock. Last year he didn't have to. Defense was what they were. Saquon was what he was. If he takes it to the next level this year and kills these defenses with whatever it is that they give him, this team will be flat out unstoppable. What will you do? If every time you give him a slither, he takes it and he seizes that opportunity, and then you got Saquon and you got AJ and Devon, what are you going to do? And how much will that change how much pressure is on the defense? Because in theory, your offense would then be scoring 28, 30 points a game. It takes a little bit of pressure off that young defense to win so many games for your team early on. Let's be real. The defense is returning 7 of their 11 starters, right? Is that right? Yeah, you lost Sweat, Milton, CJ, and Slay. And technically, it's 6 because your linebacker is hurt as well with Nakobe Dean.
That's right.
So you have 6 of 11 Nakobe's not playing the first 4 weeks. So in the first 4 weeks, when that defense needs time to get up to speed, to get acclimated, to do the things they have to do, that offense is going to have to win you football games. And I think they're going to do it. And I'm very excited for the year that Jalen Hurts is about to have, because I think this is the year that people like Sills, that people like Chris Sims, that haters like Chris Carton, they have to finally say, I don't have anything left. There's nothing left to chirp. He's continued to do it in year 5 in another new way. This is the Jalen Hurts season, baby.
Here's the guy I'm looking forward to seeing. I don't believe Barkley will do it again. He's been injured He's been injured 3 of the last 6 years. He's had one spectacular year in his career outside of his rookie season. And I want to see it again. I've seen Jalen win in multiple ways the last 4 years. I haven't seen Barkley do this in his entire career. He had one great career. I saw Chris Jones go for $2,000. I saw Jamal Lewis go for $2,000. I've seen numerous people go for 2,000 yards and come back. And you know what? They were the shell of themselves.
Saquon's a rare breed.
I don't believe that.
Well,
if he was such a rare breed.
Okay, fine. Is Saquon a rare breed when you add in the offensive line that's in front of him?
Let me finish. He wasn't a rare breed in New York.
Wow. Are you kidding me, though?
Okay. I get it.
I mean, Emmett wouldn't have been a rare breed there. Barry wouldn't have been a rare breed there. Nobody would have been a rare breed.
The Cowboys won one football game before Emmett got there. They went on to win the Super Bowl the following year.
What was their offensive line like?
It was the same guys that were there when they were before Emmett got there. They were there.
Yeah, but the offensive line, I mean, they don't win you games, but they certainly help running.
Tom Landry signed every one of those guys. They were on a 1-15 team. They were on a 4-win team Landry's last season. Emmett changed the entire landscape of that offensive line. I'm not saying that's the dynamic. I actually think you're better than that Cowboy line. Okay, because you know why? You did it with multiple backs, where you had multiple people, Pro Bowlers, every year to last.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I have a hard time holding New York against Saquon. I really do. I mean, the place is a literal dumpster fire.
Okay, I got it. So the organization that he was in didn't help him win, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It is a team game.
Well, make sure you apply that to the quarterbacks who don't win either when they don't build teams around them.
I have very fairly applied that to all quarterbacks.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure, because when people point out that Hurts is winning and these other organizations aren't building teams around some of these
quarterbacks. I think me and you have talked about that more than maybe anybody. You know what I mean? I think me and you have discussed this more than anybody. And my only take with it is, I don't knock those players because I do think their organization hasn't done good enough. But because our Eagles organization has done good enough for Jalen Hurts, I don't use that against him.
No, I don't either.
I think that's the difference.
I do not use. Well, no.
It'll be a football Friday, and you'll be in here. Hey, caboose.
Well, again, the team has been built so well, he doesn't have to play great every week. That was it. That was on display this past year. He doesn't have to play great again. I keep telling people that metric is they're the only team in the league that you can say that about. I heard John McMullen say, what did he say that if Jalen wasn't on the team, they win 11 games? That's about right. They won't win the Super Bowl, but that's about right. You're telling me Barkley and those guys couldn't hold the fort down to 10, 11 victories? I mean, dude, Pittsburgh wins 9 games with Mason Rudolph. I mean, you're going to win games if you've got that entire offensive line. Okay? So I think Barkley, here's why I can't wait to see Barkley. Xander, if Barkley does this again, and he puts up an 1,800, I'm going to give you this. If he's over 17 or 1650 with 15 touchdowns, that would be one of the greatest follow-ups to a 2K season, because that would mean also that your quarterback elevated the team a little bit by the passing game. And like you said, meant that if they win 12, 13 ball games and Barkley goes for 1,650 and 15 touchdowns off of 2,000 yards, holy shit. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's going to put a Hall of Fame resume up. I want to show you one last thing here. To show you about these touchdown rushes about Jalen Hurts. It's a pretty funny stat, actually. I saw this today. Rushing touchdowns from the 1-yard line since 2021. Jalen Hurts, 33. Nobody in the league, 32. Nobody in the league, 31. Nobody in the league, 30. Nobody in the league, 29. Nobody in the league, 28 TDs. Nobody in the league, 27. Nobody in the league, 26. Nobody in the league, 25. Nobody in the league, 24. Nobody in the league, 23. Nobody in the league, 22. Nobody in the league, 21. Nobody in the league at 20. Nobody in the league at 19. Nobody in the league at 18. Nobody in the league at 17. At 16, Josh Jacobs. At 15, Derrick Henry. And at 14, Ramil Williams and Joe Mixon. This guy's got a fucking great running back stat here. James Conner at 13. David Montgomery at 12. Jonathan Taylor at 11. These are all running backs. Najee Harris, 9. Christian McCaffrey, 8. Holy shit. Jalen Hurts.
I just don't get why you hold that against him. Like, that's impressive to me.
Actually, it's a tremendous running back stat. I love it. No quarterbacks are mentioned on this.
You guys hear this asshole throw that word in there?
Wait a minute. No quarterbacks. Oh, wait, I'm wrong. Josh Allen is in there at 13. Hurts has got 33.
Well, we know why.
Yard,
the Eagles
with 1-yard TD runs since 2000. Wow.
How many of them are 1 yard, though? Because he's had plenty that aren't 1 yard.
33.
No. Not
since
all 30.
2021, he's got 33 1-yard TD runs. 33. Wow. And the next closest guy is 16, Josh Jacobs. How you doing? What a fucking tremendous running
This is the
back.
comment of the day. Sills, you're as subtle as a train wreck.
Yeah. Hey, I think it's a fabulous running back statistic. Look at that. Jameer.
I don't hold that against Jalen Hurts. You do. All power to you.
I said it's a great running back stat.
Ring me, bitch. That's what Jalen's saying.
What a running back. Second best running back on your football team. Absolutely.
Jalen Hurts, listen, say what you want, have the opinion you want. I don't really care. Jalen Hurts has been a tremendous asset to this team. A tremendous asset to this team. There's no Super Bowl in this city without him. So say what you want, think what you want, opine what you want. I don't really give a shit. Jalen Hurts is a beast, and he's got to keep doing what he's doing because what he's doing has worked. 2 Super Bowls in 3 years for him, and he's going to go back again this year. Watch.
No, he's going back this year.
Yep. Who's going in the NFC?
What?
Let me guess. The Washington Commanders.
Well, they were 1 game away a year ago, which we predicted.
And they got absolutely boat raced, 55-23.
I know they did, boy. I'll tell you, man. Too bad you don't have that defense coming back. Well, let's think here. Do I think the Eagles make it to the NFC? As a matter of fact, I think we should do this. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to the NFC, and if they don't, fucking failure. Correct?
NFC Championship game or to the Super Bowl?
Fucking failure if they don't.
If they don't make it to the championship game or to the Super Bowl?
To the championship game.
I agree. And that's a failure. Yes.
Okay. All right. Hold on.
You want to listen? Listen. The reason I say that response to that question is because I'm not allowed, and this is a standard I hold myself to, not that anybody has put this on me. I'm not allowed to sit up here after we won the Super Bowl and say this is the start of a golden age in Philly, and we have Philly 500 on here all the time, and we talk. I mean, fans right now, there's a sense of belief that this team, with the youth that they have, with the amount of winning that they've done, with the way they're built for the future, that we're entering a golden age. We can't believe that honestly, and then say, oh, we'll be happy in the divisional round. Nobody wants to fucking win a divisional round or go to the divisional round. No, we have bigger aspirations. Go ask Tom Brady if he was happy in the divisional round. I mean, go ahead. It's like Kobe. Reminds me of the Kobe Bryant clip when he's miserable after he won Game 2 of the finals and he's up 2-0. And they're like, why aren't you smiling? And he's like, what the fuck is there to smile about?
Z, in the last 8 years, you've been to 3 conference titles and 3 Super Bowls. I mean, you're kind of floating in that room now. Where
we are. I'm just saying, with that comes a standard for excellence that you have to achieve. And if you don't, again, I'll bring you back to when you guys dominated football and you were on the 80s Canes, the 1980 and the Canes in the 1980s. You didn't say, "Oh, I hope we make the Citrus Bowl." No. You know, I hope we play in the Taco Bell Bowl. No, I mean it was the national championship or we failed.
That's right.
That's what comes with greatness. So if you don't think they got to go further than that, then don't sit here and think that you're achieving greatness because you're not. You're a middle. You
want to hear a shitty comment I gave a reporter once? Guy goes like this: If you guys lose a game, I go, we don't lose games. And the guy goes like this. He goes, well, if you lose a game, what if you ended up playing in December? I go, Big Sills don't play bowl games in December. Big Sills doesn't play bowl games in December. I only play on New Year's.
Exactly.
Okay? I don't play anywhere but New Year's Day, and I'm playing for something. I played my entire
season. I think the Crimson Tide are coming back this year. Alabama.
I got them Final Four.
I know. You told me that. You kind of gave me some optimism, so I've been reading up a little bit on the Bama. I think
they did great recruiting.
Yeah, they've done good.
They did great. This guy, Vic, guess who's helping? Nick's helping out on recruiting.
Well, he is, but he also got a coach in here now who's ready to play this new game. You know, Saban, as amazing as Saban was never going to shift off of Saban. And again, this is just my opinion from the way I watched it when I was even up close and personal and just following his career in Alabama. I believe that Saban truly loved teaching the game and coaching not only young players, but young men to become professionals, to achieve and desire greatness like we just talked about. That's what I believe motivated him. Now, NIL has naturally taken some of that out of the game. It's become more like a business, more like the professionals. And now you got a coach who's willing to work within those parameters with the help of Saban, bringing some guys in. I think you got a good recipe this year. So we'll see. Still not my favorite, but I'm hoping he can be good. All right. I'm hoping he can be good.
My last thing with you.
He's just Big 12 to me, isn't he? Like he's so Big 12. I look at him and I'm like,
I know. Well,
I know he's from Washington. I can tell.
I got one last thing for you here. Well, bro, that's Zach Wheeler.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Is he better than Holiday?
I don't know if you can say he's better than Holiday, but I think you can say he's having a comparable season to what Holiday had.
Bro, I mean, it's been a couple of seasons.
Dude, every time this guy hits the mound, I'm like, Bills are going to win.
Complete game 1 year?
Never count out the Phillies bullpen to blow a game here and there. I mean, it's unbelievable. They have a knack for blowing games.
Unreal.
Wheeler is a special talent, man. He is a dominant pitcher right now. I think he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. I mean, I really do. I don't see a pitcher right now in the league who's dealing like he is on a consistent basis. I mean, every time he hits the mound. I mean, the Phillies have some other great pitchers right now. Christopher Sanchez, Luzardo, but Luzardo's too streaky for me. Wheeler is just fucking money, dude.
He's appointment setting watching TV now. Like
he is. He is.
Like, back in the day when Ryan and those guys were even a younger Kershaw.
Yeah, Scooble's good. Skeens is good. Yep.
You have to watch. I mean, I tuned him on and watched him, and he was just brilliant. I mean, old school off the mound, pushing you back off the plate.
I like the toppers, letting them pitch a little more too.
Yeah, man.
Man. Let them pitch.
I was so impressed with him.
I like old school baseball with that, man. Like if a pitcher's dealing and a pitcher has his stuff and he's late and he gets in a little bit of a jam, I am not the type of guy who would say, get out there, get him out. Get out there, get him. I would rather die on the sword of letting him out there than going to the pin and letting him knock in the runs that way. So, Ranger Suarez, another good one fitter. He's pitching great recently. I don't know why they pulled him so quick on Saturday, but I've been really enjoying, man. I've been really enjoying Phillies baseball right now. I think the team is good.
I think they're going to win the East.
I think they got a really good chance. My worry is when you get to the postseason, how does that bullpen fare? How does that bullpen hold up? And the streaky bats. You can't have too streaky of a bat. So we'll see. But I think the team's in good shape, man. They got good pitching, good starting pitching at least right now.
Absolutely. By the way, Jeffrey, I'm a gigantic Joe Paterno fan, and I'll always be a Joe Paterno fan because he was a big Sills fan. And
wait, did you read that comment?
What's that?
Let me pull that back up for you. They asked Joe Paterno what bowl he was going to, and he said, "We are going wherever the Miami Hurricanes are going."
Yeah. I had a great relationship with Joe Paterno, and I don't know. He was looking for students, and I didn't want to be. I mean, I wasn't going to Happy Valley for a degree, dude. I was going there to Miami to play football there. So let's get to some of the supers. We got Howard Eskin coming up here in a couple.
Let's do it. Get me out of here before Howard. Bearded Willie, what's up, Bearded? He says agree, but Wheeler has to play better in the cold. Yeah, I mean, look, that's a problem with a lot of baseball pitchers. I mean, they're warm weather guys, man. They really are. But I don't know. I mean, let's see. I don't know what his numbers are in the cold, but all I know is right now in the middle of July or in the early July, that motherfucker is dealing, Bearded Willie.
I tuned him on to watch him.
Yeah.
I just could not believe how insane great that guy is throwing the ball. I mean, I hadn't really watched him, Xander. Like, I hadn't really watched a game, but I watched him for that whole 9 innings. I couldn't believe it, man.
Those are a fun team to watch right now. I get a little bit pissed with the way that their approach is at the plate in the batter's box, but overall, they got a good lineup, man. They got good players. They're in a good spot. They got to get hot when the right time to get hot is, because remember, a couple of weeks ago, they were in a funk, and everybody's like, the Phillies suck now. I'm like, relax. You got to let it play, and they got to be hot in the postseason.
Yeah.
Bearded Willie again. What's up, Bearded? Thank you, brother. He says, in 2025, I want to see Munden. I think he should have been drafted earlier, and Georgia linebackers are NFL ready. I'm sorry, but I see him beating out Trotter. I do not.
I think he's a better athlete.
He's definitely a better athlete.
Trotter.
I'm a Trotter guy, though. I like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Now, full disclosure, he's a St. Joe's prep kid. I'm a St. Joe's prep guy. I mean, I love the player. Now, I haven't seen that much, but my love more is a belief in the player. And I think Munden is here for the future and will be used, but I don't think that's this year. We'll see.
So you think he has a better shot at being Munden has better shot at being like the swing linebacker? You think he'll be the swing linebacker?
I think Trotter will have more reps than Munden this year, yes.
Trotter will have more than – okay.
Look at Beardy. He says, there it is. That might be why, but Bearded, shh. Kyle,
hey,
what up, Kyle?
Hey, Xander, I sent you an email. I want to make sure you bring this up for Howard Eskin when I
You sent me an email? I find that hard to believe.
I did. I sent you an email with a picture on it because there's a book of the greatest sports talk radio host of all time, and he's in it. And he goes, I never saw this book ever. How come I'm not?
Dan Sileo, wow. Wow, so listen to this, everybody. Sports talk, the personality behind the personalities. This is the names that are listed here. This is the company that Big Sills has, all right? And he won't say it, and I will. Colin Coward, Scott Van Pelt, Sid Rosenberg, Tim Brando, Tony Bruno, Mitch Levy. Who else we got? Howard Eskin's on here. Dan Sileo is on here. And a bunch of other names. But that's pretty good company right there, my friend.
The best of those guys are West Coast. Mitch was a morning show host and a friend of mine.
Yeah, you know more of him than I do.
In Seattle. And the other kid, Money Smith, is a morning talk show host now on K-Rock in Los Angeles. And this guy did a chapter on all of us. And Howard goes like this. What the hell? I never remember this, but I go, Howard, you had to sit down with him for like an hour because they did a book. So, yeah, this was pretty cool. Somebody sent this to me. I hadn't seen this thing because I don't remember doing it either.
Yeah.
So,
look
yeah.
Fleming. Of course,
So
of
I'm
course,
gonna Howard that.
of course, the email is a picture without words. There's not a single word listed there. There's
Bro,
not even a
my mic's
subject.
fucked up. What do you want
It
out
just
of it?
says no subject,
Bro,
Brian.
I
No
don't even know
subject.
how I fucked my mic up.
Sileo cannot type. No subject.
Hey, I don't even know how I fucked my mic up. I didn't touch anything. I have no idea how I did
It
this.
sounds a little better, but I don't know. Maybe it's not.
You think it's the mic? You think no? All right. Maybe
Don't
I
tell
have
me
it
I gotta
too far
buy you a
away.
new mic. Did you break this? Because there's so much dust built up on the mic. You haven't cleaned the thing in 3 years. It's grimy. I could cook a steak on top of that mic. It's so nasty. Come on, dude. That
How
thing
about
is
that?
disgusting.
How's
I
it
mean,
now?
clean your mic.
How's it now?
Clean your mic.
Maybe that's it because now there's more lights are coming on. Oh, when I do that, it goes yellow. Now I just did it. They're blue again.
Click it. Yeah, green. You
Is it
colorblind
green?
over there?
Am I good?
We'll fix it after the show. Just
Yeah. Okay.
Kyle, what up, Kyle? He says, what position group on defense worries y'all the most? For me, it's the secondary.
It is. It's not the edge because the guys did the job a year ago.
Probably safety for me.
I think it's safety corner. That back end of the secondary. I do it. I don't think.
I feel a little better about corner because of Coop and Quinion.
Yeah, but dude, that safety position, when you did not have CJ back there, you were not very good. Okay? You were not very good. And you're going to put Makuba.
Look at this guy.
Makuba and Sydney.
Look at this guy, the Black Pope. It's a funny name. What is it? Is that an AI generated image right there? It looks like it. I like it.
Yeah.
He says, will Nick get in the way of the new offensive coordinator?
No, because you know why?
Jalen's team. It's Jalen's offense.
Here's clearly why he won't. Because if he wants to make sure that things go smoothly like he did a year ago, hey, what do you think he learned more from? The 23 meltdown or the 2-2 start a year ago?
23 meltdown.
Because the 2-2 start was a precursor from that, right?
You learn more in failure in life. Now, I know 2-2 is not great, but that's just small adversity. I mean, let's be real. That's not real failure.
Failure. I thought it was going to carry over from 23.
Yeah, but failure is starting 10-1 and losing 7. That's failure. That's collapse. That you sit on that for an entire offseason.
You fall off the planet like that. And
2-2, you correct after the bye. It's a 10-day stretch. I mean, you correct that.
So do you think the Philadelphia Eagle defense is going to start slow and finish strong, or do you think it's going to be start strong and finish bad?
Start slow.
Start slow.
Start slow, finish strong. They're young.
So they may not be a top 10 defense, but if they're playing like one in December to you, that's cool.
I'm good. But that's where I brought up earlier. This is the Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts and the offense going to have to take some, don't force the offense or the defense to have to win you games. You're going to have to do it yourself a little bit, or at least make their job easier. I think they'll do that. Kyle again. What's up, Kyle? Thank you for the love, bro. Thank you for the super chats.
Thank you guys for the supers, man.
Oh, you might have got this one. Yeah, this was before I was on. Sills, yeah. All right, you got that.
I thought Bill Cowher was the NC State guy, and he played at NC State. I thought it was Bill Cowher. I didn't know that Pete Carroll was down there. He could have been. He could have been, Kyle. He definitely could have been. So you think he's throwing for 4K this year?
I don't want to put in. I think he's going to.
It doesn't matter.
I don't really give a shit. Yeah, I don't really give a shit about the stats. I really don't. I like what my boy Philadelphia says in the chat. He goes, Morgan and Morgan doesn't guarantee the stats. They guarantee the win. All right.
You made a
I want the win, Big Cells.
You made a great comment to John. You went like this to him. I think Devontae's going to have a big year. John fired back and said, yeah, does that mean numbers-wise, or does that mean more of an impact on the team?
John hates stats. John hates like everything in the offseason that you talk about.
I know
he hates stats. He hates projections. He hates speculating. He hates lists. He hates predictions. It's like, holy shit. I have to work. I do a longer time pre-show to prepare for questions for John than I do actually on the air because the guy doesn't want to answer any of my questions. I don't predict. I don't project. I don't make lists. So it's like, good night. All right, Big Seal. It's a great show, brother. I'll catch you tomorrow, my friend.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys please check out Big Z over on Birds 365. Hey, for the record, Chris Sims is going to join us this week, too. So we'll be talking with him. Also, Kurt Schilling is going to step in a little bit later on. Hey, Xander, do me a favor. Before I bring – and you know what I did? I'm going to tell you how Howard Eskin, he inspires me. So he had Herm Edwards on. And I said, you know what? I got to get me some Herm. And I listened to his interview, and I won't lie, I stole some of his questions. So I went and I had Herm a couple days ago, and I had him on the Tampa show, and I was talking to him. Because he started down there with Tony Dungy. He was on that coaching staff. Actually, they were in Kansas City together when he was with Coach Dungy, and a bunch of guys were on that coaching staff. And Herm's such an interesting guy. Guys, got to make sure that you check out Howard Eskin's his podcast. It's absolutely great. And I'll tell you this, I think it's 10 times better than the stuff he was doing a couple of years ago at WIP. Because you know why? Here's what I like about this format. I'm doing radio now, that morning show in Tampa. Way too many guardrails. When Howard and I started, or him more so than me, is that you could say anything, do anything. It was about being entertaining. It was about bringing people in. There's too many idiots that would take over my show, so I would shut you down and tell you this. Get off my airwaves. Not happening. So, Xander, do me a favor. Bring that book up. So I get an email the other day from Tony Bruno. Hey, did you ever see this book that you and Howard Eskin and myself and Colin Coward and a bunch of guys were in? And I'm like, yeah, I think I remember doing an interview. That they put a chapter with us, and here's the book. Colin Coward, Tim Brando, Sid Rosenberg, who's now on WFAN in New York, used to do sports. There's Howard. Mitch Levy's a friend of mine, did morning sports forever in Seattle. Arnie Spanier was a national guy. Joe is on WFAN. Scott Farrell, I took over for Scott Farrell at KMDR 68 on Sports Phone 68. So when he left, he went and did Farrell on the bench. There's Van Pelt. Kevin Wheeler's a national guy. Ryan, let's see. Doug and Ryan, it's these two African-American guys that used to do a show down in Atlanta, which was very popular, was even on ESPN for a while. And Petros and Money, those guys do now shows in Los Angeles. They do sports. So Howard's like, where the hell, what is this? So let's bring Howard Eskin on now with us. Legendary WIP guy. One of the godfathers I like to call. Howard, you never saw that book, huh?
You know what? I do not remember seeing that book. I do not remember. So I probably did, but I don't remember. I mean, it just, you see things, and but I don't remember seeing it. No, I do not.
How about this, Howard? What's changed in sports talk, in your opinion, over the last 15 years?
You really want me to go after these guys?
I'd love to hear you and your opinion on this.
The simple answer is there's a lack of talent. Okay. There really is a lack of talent. It's the reason, and for many years when I started WIP, it was just a solo show, and it was fine. And then somebody had this grand idea of having two hosts. And the reason I believe that they decided to have two hosts so they could argue with one another. And before the show, it's good cop, bad cop. Before the show, all right, I'll take this side, you take this side, whether they believe it or not. And after a while, I think people know that it's bullshit. That all they're doing is just arguing with one another to try to get people annoyed on both sides, or involved. I'll say involved rather than annoyed, but you know the premise on both sides. And that was the I think that was the biggest reason they decided to get co-hosts. It is, it's the same thing all day. It's not. Here's the one thing, and I'm not saying that I always did it the best. I think I did it the right way.
But you were unique, Howard. You weren't you know what makes you great? It's not about being the best on the radio. It's about being different and being unique, and that's what you are.
Well, the one thing I always believed is try to get it right. You're not always going to be right. And I've had some arguments with players where they say I didn't get it right, and I would be there to talk to them, which most people in the media now, 99% of them, don't bother to go down. Television people are a waste. To watch TV sports, you're wasting your time because they don't say anything. They don't do anything. When they give highlights, they're so short, they don't really give a good story of the game. But on talk radio, they say things and they never face the music when they criticize. I made a point, and it wasn't easy going into a locker room when I was critical, but I felt I had to do that to have respect, whether they like what I said or not. And almost all the players that I've argued with at one time understand it now. I mean, I can go down a list, whether it's coaches or players. I remember Dick Vermeil couldn't stand me at the beginning because I was honest. And then after a few years, and now we're actually good friends, and we communicate a lot. I think he understood. I think he understood. The one thing he said when I had him on the podcast, he said, "You know what really pissed me off? You know, I didn't like the things you said, but what really pissed me off is just when you said things, they were almost always right." And I'm saying, how the hell does he get all that stuff? So going back to what I was starting to say, I tried to inform and I tried to entertain. And I think you can do both.
Yes.
And I don't think people nowadays, I don't think sports talk hosts, I mean, I give my son credit. He works hard and he's got his opinion, but I think he's kind of trapped into that sports talk, but he does a good job because he's a smart guy. And he's had it from both sides. He's been management in sports talk radio. He's been on the air in sports talk radio. So I felt you could do it both ways. You could inform and entertain. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But at least I tried to get the information, and the players and the coaches knew that. But that's not the way it is anymore. I mean, that's why radio is a dying business. It's kind of sad.
It is.
The new, because that's what got me to where I am
Howard, you
today.
and me love the business, Howard. We hate the people running the business.
Oh, the people running the business just trying to save their ass.
That's
They're
right.
just trying to keep their jobs. So they do whatever they have to do. It's like the company, I won't mention their name, but people will know, that I used to work for. I mean, they have financial problems. They went into bankruptcy. They have financial problems. So now they're just trying to save money. And the business model of radio just isn't the same anymore. For instance, Dan, I don't know what your expenses is, and that's not the point. And I know what my expenses are, and that's really not the point. But our expenses are far less because we broadcast, call it on the air. It's on the internet. And we don't pay those expenses.
That's
where
right.
radio has a business where they have to pay for. So their business model is they have to overprice their clients. They charge more than they deliver. They overprice it and they make you think, oh, it's great, it's great, it's great. When they podcast their shows, they don't put the commercial on the podcast. I don't know how you do it, but I put my commercials on, and they stay there forever.
Yeah.
My sponsors, the people that support me,
Yep.
They're there forever. And people go back and look at it, and the sponsorship is always there. Where that's not the business model of radio, because they can't exist with that business model and make it work. So that's part of the problem with radio. There's multiple problems with radio nowadays, and it's sad because that was my history. That was my background. That's what got me,
Howard, I
where
got
I am today.
this because of guys like you and Bruno and Angelo. When I used to listen to you guys, you were on that old 610 stick back in the day, and I could hear you guys all the way up the Jersey coast, all the way up, and listen to you. I mean, you were on before WFAN. And just to close this up here, I mean, this is why I didn't go to WFAN, because a guy by the name of Mark Chernoff started barking with me about having a co-host. And I'm going like, I go, dude, a co-host, if I'm going to drive the boat into the iceberg, I'm going to do it. He's not going to do it for me. And so he and I never really saw eye to eye on that. And that's why I never joined FAN. I was brought up. I did a couple shows for them, but I was like, I'm not doing. Then I went up to WEEI and they tried the same thing. I'm like, I'm not doing partner radio because I'm going to produce it. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to do everything I can, put the content together. I was taught by Randy Michaels how to do radio. And Randy's one of the greatest programmers, not maybe the most liked guy, but he taught me radio. And he's the guy that educated me how to do it. And I believed I was taught by the best. And yet, like you said, these guys were just different. And even when I talked to Angelo, I think Angelo's not on the air any longer because they don't want to pay you. They don't want to pay you.
Yeah.
And they don't want to pay guys like Angelo because you guys have an opinion too. And you don't fear your bosses.
Yeah. You know what? I don't want to get too deep in it because it's not the time to talk about it. There'll be a time that I talk about, but I got screwed. And there was no reason that they had to do what they had to do. But I was the beginning of their 400 people. They laid off 400 people. They got rid of the CEO who was the owner because he had to sell. They got rid of the CFO. They've got rid of the host because when their contracts come up,
Howard, did you feel embarrassed?
What's that?
Did you feel embarrassed?
Did I feel embarrassed?
Did you feel embarrassed on how they ended you and you weren't able to end?
Well, I tried to, at the time, I tried to just not say a whole lot because I tried to move on. It's difficult at first when you know what they did wasn't right.
Completely.
The management people are just trying to save their ass because they like their cushy jobs. And that's, it was wrong, but was I embarrassed? I was hurt. Embarrassed is probably not the right word. I was hurt because I put in close to 4 decades, started that radio station and into sports talk. I didn't start the station. I started the sports talk format. I was the first one to do it. And it is what it was what it was, but I was hurt that, there was, I don't want to go into that. They had nothing. They had some people saying things, which they had no evidence that any of that stuff happened. So I just, you have to try to move on. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. I want to have fun, and I always tried to have fun. And it's just, it's kind of sad that, they tried to tarnish who I was, and I've just got to work my way out. And people that know me, and I'm not a bad person. I have an opinion on the air. I'm nice to people. I do a lot of charity work for the Eagles. I've raised over $700,000 for their autism. I've raised a lot of money for leukemia, for cancer, you name it. I pick games on my website. And I charge them a nominal fee to pick games because I used to write a gambling column in the Daily News. By the way,
guys, the original Stone Cold Lead Pipe Lock is this dude. It is not Tony Bruno. And I love Tony Bruno, but it is Howard Eskin. That is him.
Wait a minute. I have a trademark that is mine. Stone Cold Mortal Lock is my trademark in the Government Office of Trademarks and Copyrights. It took me 5 years to get it, but I got it, and it's my trademark. And if anybody wants to use it, they're going to have to pay me for it. Now, I would only donate the money to charity, but on my website, the money that I raise, I donate to 2 SPCAs in my township. And, because it just do I need, everybody wants to make money, but do I need it? Hey, they need it more than I need it. I've had a lot of success, and it's just,
I love it. And I love it.
I just try to do what I do. And and I have an opinion. I was on a podcast, the New York Giants podcast last week. The guy asked me to come on, and I told a story about Russell Wilson. I'm sure that'll have repercussions because he's a fraud and he's a phony and he's an overrated quarterback. This what's the term he used for himself? He uses one word, guaranteed, or some stupid whatever. That's Charles guaranteed. What does he use? But whatever. He's done some things, and he had a great defense, which gave him great field position with Seattle. And he created. He's a good quarterback.
And
I'm not saying he's not.
Lynch.
Yeah, right. But he's just not. He's not a Hall of Famer, and I'm not even a word. Unlimited. Was it unlimited? Yeah.
Unlimited.
Yeah. Okay. So, so I told the story, and I'm sure it made some headlines. But the Giants are going to die with him. He can't be the starting quarterback, and they have any success.
Absolutely.
But I told the story, and it's the truth. And if he wants to deny it, he can deny it. But I don't know him personally. I guess in news conferences or in news briefings or whatever at the locker, I've probably spoken to him and not one-on-one, but anyway, I brought that up and I say, hey, you know what? Some people might say something to me. I remember when I had Herm Edwards on, we talked about the miracles in the Meadowlands for the Eagles, for people around the country. Herm Edwards was the first one in 78. That was his second year in the league when Joe Pisarcik had to listen to the coach who was stupid, just kneeling the ball. But whatever, that was the first one. Brian Westbrook, the touchdown on a punt return with like a minute and change left, won another game. And then Deshaun Jackson on the last play of the game. But after the game, and the Giants PR guy, who's no longer with the Giants, he's now with Cleveland, he called me up the next day because I had been told by a player sitting maybe one or two lockers away from Matt Dodge, who was the punter, that he says, I'm going to cut your ass right now. So, I mentioned that on the air the next day, and the guy called up, and obviously Tom Coughlin changed his mind. They go, oh, he never said that. I said, hey, listen, the guy was sitting right there in the locker room. So, but those are the kind of things, if I have it, I roll with it. And, you get through it. And it's just, I said some things which have caused me some angst in whatever way you say that word. But that's just, sometimes you gotta do what you think is right.
Were you in Tom Bigby's office, sitting there with the guy with the light? I can imagine Howard talking to some dude from from Cherry Hill, and all of a sudden the light goes off, because back then these guys had some psychotic rule, or he did, that you couldn't talk to a guy for more than a minute and its light would come on.
2 minutes. Yeah,
2 minutes. The WIP. I can't believe there's no way you followed that 2 minute drill.
Well, no, but there's sometimes when to hold them and when to fold them.
Yeah.
Okay. And once you know when to fold them, you got to fold them. And you just can't go on and on because you're trying to be a nice guy. But no, it's just Tom was a different man. He rest in peace. Was a different kind of guy. And I argued with him, and it's just, but he knew me, I knew him, and he knew I was always trying to do the best thing. And I was always trying to do the right thing, but I was always trying to do the best thing.
Howard, are you still proud right now of WIP? Of where the station is right now, excluding your son? Are you proud of where it is? Because Angelo, he hates it right now. He says that it's just not the same what it used to give Philly. I mean, holding people accountable like Rob Thompson or what have you for a bad game, or holding a pitcher in too long. Do you like where it is?
Wow, that's a tough question to answer. I don't like what WIP is right now because it's boring. Most of the day. I can't say it's all boring. Again, I'm going to defend my son because he's a sharp guy, not a kid anymore, although he wants to be a kid.
I like Spike, actually.
Yeah. I can't call him Spike because I never named him Spike, but So, I'll just say my son. And I won't, everybody I think knows his real name, but it's not a big deal. But, most of and I think there's some good people on the station. I'm not going to identify, other than my son, the people that I think are good or bad. Someday I will. I mean, there's some really, really boring times on that radio station between 6 and 6. But no, what was your original question? Am I proud?
Do you like where IP is right
Well,
now?
no. Okay. First of all, I don't hate you. I try not to use the word hate because it's a negative energy. Do I dislike? Do I not? I don't respect the management because of the way they handle things and the way they handle it now. There's a lot of kiss asses there. I don't like where they are. I don't think they're really good enough anymore. And that's why the radio business, and they're not the only ones. Trust me, they're not the only ones. But I think WFAN still does, for the most part, a pretty good job. I don't listen to them a lot, but from what I've heard, I like Boomer. I like Tiki. I mean, it's just got to know Tiki. I mean, I like different guys. I liked Craig Carton when he was there. I knew Craig. Craig's a different guy, but he's a
we're very good friends.
He's a very talented guy.
Yep.
He's a very talented guy. I knew him when, obviously he worked at WIP at one point. I got to know him. So, but they're just not, they're not the same. Let's put it this way. They're not the same, which means they're not as good as they used to be. And in my opinion, they're not good enough. If they didn't have the Eagles play-by-play and the Phillies play-by-play, they'd be a rumor.
And the Phillies. I'll tell you one thing I've learned, Howard. I don't care who you put behind the mic, and when you put great people like you, when you put people like Angelo, you put some great folks on that airwaves, you're always going to resonate, no question. But I think the fans here, Boston, places like that, they make that radio station. I mean, the interaction and the passion that the Philly sports fans have for their sports teams, especially the Eagles, is second to none. It's just second to none.
Yeah. Well, you've got three cities that are crazy: Philadelphia, Boston, and New York. And I guess maybe you could throw Chicago in there. Yep. Chicago. You can throw them in there too, because they're passionate. And the rest of the places, they're passionate fans around the country, but nothing like probably those cities that you can compare to those cities. And the people, I mean, I just, you go out every day. Everybody wants to have a discussion with them, and or they want to have a discussion with you. And I was talking to somebody at a business where I purchased something, and the guy asked me about the Phillies. And somebody asked me about them today. I said, I think they're going to break your heart again. I think they're going to break your heart again. And they don't want to hear that. They don't want to. They don't want to hear that. I don't like their lineup. They have trouble scoring without home runs. I just saw a video of Pete Rose explaining the way he used to approach the game. Obviously, when you have 4,256 hits, you're making contact. And if you make contact, you're going to get hits. These morons in baseball would say, well, a strikeout's the same as an out. No, it's not. You got to put the ball in play. Anything can happen. But he talked about the different approach, and now people are worried about launch angle and exit velocity. I don't want to. When I hear that from an announcer, I was talking to Chip Carey, and he doesn't use it. He tries not to use it most of the time. The exit velocity and the launch angle, because people don't care. Hey, did he hit a home run? Did he make an out? If he hit a line drive, you knew he hit it hard. Do I have to know how many miles an hour he hit it? No, I do not need to know that. First of all, it's not easy to hit a baseball, but it's easier to hit it harder and higher if that's what you're doing. If you're swinging up, I don't know how you hit breaking balls doing that, because the bats are harder, they're pressed, where guys used to have, and younger people don't remember this. They used to put bones on the bat rack, actually meat
Yeah.
bones, to have to bone the bat to make it hard. Now they press them so hard. The baseballs are harder. The core is different. I had somebody cut open the core of a baseball. That's different. It's like a little Super Bowl inside there. So the baseballs are livelier. The bats are harder. And so what? And the other joke, I love these guys. Well, he's throwing 97. Oh, he hit 100. When Nolan Ryan pitched, and I'll use Dwight Gooden and J.R. Richard, and you have all these pitchers that threw hard, the velocity was clocked at home plate. Now the velocity is clocked when it comes out of the pitcher's hands. So obviously it's going to be maybe a couple of miles an hour faster. What does that all mean? If guys can throw hard today, that's great. But this 100-mile-an-hour, Nolan Ryan probably threw 100 miles an hour 60% of the time.
But Ryan would throw 180 pitches in a game and go 9.
Yeah.
Guys are going 5 2/3 today. And like you said about the Phillies, I'll say this to you, Howard. Kyle Schwarber is exactly the makeup of that team. It's not Bryce Harper, because this guy's a 216 hitter. He's going to hit you 46 home runs, and he's going to take 250 walks of shame. And that's going to be the end of those guys in the postseason, because what does Dave Dombrowski always fail when he's in Detroit or he's in the Marlins? Bullpen. Their bullpen will fail them again when they get into a tight series. And once the Dodgers get a little healthier again, the Dodgers are going to blow them away in the NLCS. They're just, or maybe even the Padres.
Yeah, I don't like their bullpen, and I don't like their lineup.
No, I don't like Schwarber. He's too high in the lineup.
Yeah, well, him hitting leadoff was a joke. I remember Rob Thompson said to me once. I had him on the air one time, and I wanted Stott, Turner, Harper at the top of the order.
Right. That's
and
right.
I didn't want Schwarber.
Why do you
He says, we got to the World Series with Schwarber. I said, how'd that work out for you? You lost the World Series. Yeah, you got it. You got to hit with men on base. And Bryce Harper was a great player. He's a good player. He's a very good player now, but he's hitting 250 something, and he swings for home runs. And he's such a violent swing. I think that's why he gets hurt. It's too bad, but there's 6 more years that the Phillies have him under contract.
Yeah, it's halfway through it.
Yeah, and I don't know how he fits in that lineup right now, where he is at number 3. Once in a while, they put him at number 2. Schwarber should hit 4 or 5. That's right. Where Schwarber should hit. And you hope you get men on base.
Bryce Harper has been a success in Philadelphia. You think he's lived up to that $330 million 13-year contract? Like you said, halfway through it.
Well, Trey Turner hasn't lived up to his $300 million contract. We never realized he was a below average defensive player. Great guy. He'll hit for average. He'll hit some home runs. He's not a home run hitter. But so he hasn't lived up to that contract. So up until this year, I think Bryce Harper, which is average money per year, has probably lived up to the contract. But now you have 6 more years. So you'll determine that after this year, you have 6 more years. And I just don't know. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer right now. My opinion is he's got 345 home runs. He won't have 400 by the end of next season. Will not have 400 home runs by the end of next season. And 400 home runs doesn't get you into the Hall of Fame. I had a debate with a Phillies fan, and he says, "Oh, Bryce Harper's a Hall of Famer." I said, "Tell me why." Well, 2 MVPs. I says, "Okay." Won a World Series. I said, "No, he didn't. Washington won the World Series after he left." He says he drives in 100 runs every year. So I pulled out my phone and I looked it up, and I said, "Gee, with the Phillies, and now what's this? The 7th year with the Phillies? 7th year.
He's halfway through.
Okay. He's only driven in 100 runs once with the Phillies. With Washington, he only drove in 100 runs once with Washington. Now, is he a very good player? Yes, he is.
Yes.
Is he still a very good player? He's a good player, and you can't take that away from what he's done. But
Steele Murphy.
he's played a lot of years, and he'll have numbers at the end. But I just don't know will he ever drive in 100 runs again? I'm not so sure that's going to happen. Are you a Hall of Famer when you only drive in 100 runs twice? I looked at Dave Parker's numbers, and it's sad. It took him 20 years to get into the Hall of Fame. That's a disgrace.
3-time batting champion too.
Yeah, was a 3-time batting champion.
3-time batting champion, MVP too, by the way.
Yeah, and he was an MVP in an All-Star game as well. So he hit over 300. I believe it was 5. No, I think it was 6 or 7 times. I think Bryce Harper has 4 or 5 times. Parker's driven 100 runs in more than Harper will. The MVP, and it took him 20 some years. But now there's so few players that are really deserving of what we think of as Hall of Famers. He'll get a lot of juice because there'll be a lot of attention from the media for that. But it's still a long way away. He's going to play at least 6 more years.
Absolutely. Howard, let me
this year.
ask you some Eagle questions here. I want to ask you a couple here. How do you know that Zach Bond is not a one-year wonder?
Well, you don't, but seems like a really hardworking. If you play football, you better work hard, or you won't be around very long. I don't know that he's a one-year wonder. You wonder when you get a player and you say, wow, where did he come from? And all of a sudden, the way their defense is built, he really fit in well. So is he a one-year wonder? I'm not sure, but I think he's a good player. So will he have the same year he had last year? I don't know. It'd be hard to duplicate. It's going to be hard for Saquon Barkley to have the same year. It's going to be hard for a lot of players to have the same year. Their offensive line is the best in the NFL. But they haven't had injuries. I mean, Lane Johnson was injured for a little bit, and he's getting older. But other than that, they have pretty much young players on the offensive line. Landon Dickerson is a great offensive lineman. However, he's always hurt, but he plays hurt. I give him credit. He plays hurt. He's a tough son of a gun. But so they have a great offensive line. They have 2 great wide receivers. They have a great running back. And all that makes the quarterback better. Is he good? Yeah. Is he top 5? No. But all the other things, the offensive line, the running game really makes him better. The wide receivers, but you still have to throw the ball to him. But the defensive line is really good because I think Jordan Davis might take another step. And obviously Jalen Carter's good. I think Nolan Smith, watch, if he stays healthy, Nolan Smith could be a really good player.
Though, why do you think have a problem when you tell the truth? I agree with you, Howard, that most people want to be lied to instead of talking the truth to them because that's controversy. I've heard what controversial on the radio is. You know what it was? Telling people the truth because nobody wants to hear the truth. They'd rather be lied to because it's an easier form of reaction. And so I understand that. You'd rather be lied to. So when you make this comment that you don't think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback, but he fits into exactly what they're doing, just like Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman's not a top 10 NFL quarterback, but he won 3 Super Bowls. Why do people in Philly have a cow with that? When you say he's a top 5 guy.
Because fans fall in love with their heroes. And you can't tell them what they don't want to hear, because if they don't want to hear it, they want to think. I mean, you tell me how he's a top 5 quarterback. Tell me how he's a top 5 quarterback. I just, you look at the teams. All right, you go. I mean, Jim Kelly, Patrick Mahomes, right? I'm just trying to think. Joe Burrow. Is Joe Burrow better than Jalen Hurts? I would think so, right?
Josh Allen's better. Joe Burrow's better. Lamar Jackson's better. Patrick Mahomes is better. Those are better quarterbacks than Jalen Hurts. You could even make the argument that you're talking about a guy like Justin Herbert's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts from a physical set. He is.
I'll tell you, he might be this year with Jim Harbaugh. I don't know Jim Harbaugh that well.
No,
but,
you're right on with him. You're right on.
But he understands the quarterback position, and he will make the quarterback better. I think he will make the quarterback
you think
better.
Dak's better than him?
Who?
Dak. Better than Jalen. Do you think he's better than Jalen, Dak Prescott, as a quarterback in the NFL?
You're not going to like my answer. No. And
yeah,
Dak Prescott is one of the all-time frauds in the NFL. His numbers come when they're behind.
Okay.
He doesn't win big games. He's a turnover machine.
Okay.
He doesn't win big games. He's a turnover machine. And when they get behind, he throws a lot. You see all these numbers and you say, wait a minute, how did he get all these numbers? They just lost because they're behind a lot. It's just.
And how did he get $60 million, Howard?
Because Jerry Jones, had a man crush on him. That's what it was. Oh, Dak Prescott, he's my guy. So he gave him 60. That was the worst contract was Watson. One of the worst contracts was Dak Prescott. I think he's a stone cold fraud. Doesn't win big games, not going to win playoff games. They'll never, that's by the way, for those people that don't know to get the 5 letters, NEVER. You never win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. Never get to the Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. NEVER.
I'm stealing that. Howard, do you think that Jalen's better than the quarterback in Washington, Jaden Daniels?
It's interesting you said that. And if you listen to the Herm Edwards show when I had Herm on the podcast, he loves Jaden Daniels. He had him. Well, one of the things he had him his first 2 years in Arizona State.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't say it because he was on knowing it was a Philadelphia guy. I would say what you think, but it sounded like he wanted to say he's going to be better than Jalen Hurts. It sounded like he wanted to say that, but he didn't say that. So I'm not going to say he did, but he loves him. Washington gives the Eagles the biggest challenge. The Eagles are a very good team, and the Eagles are no question a good enough team to get back to the Super Bowl, but it's hard to get back. They didn't have a lot of injuries last year, so that you have to hope for very little injuries, but it's Washington's going to be a challenge. It's too bad because that owner is a jerk. And he's ruined the 76ers, but he hired bad people. In Washington, he's actually got good people making decisions. So there's a difference there. But he's going to be very good. Is he better than Jalen Hurts now? You can't say after his rookie year.
Yeah, only 1 year. I got one last question for you. And you're probably better to ask this than when I asked this to Angelo. Angelo had a funny response to this question. I want to see where you go with it. So I asked, what in the hell happened to hockey in Philly? What in the world has happened? Angelo said this, hockey never really was anything in this city. They just loved that team. Is he right?
That's a big part of it, but they won. And they got, back in the 70s, they created this great image of winners and champions when they got and won Stanley Cup. But you had personalities. You had Bernie Perrant. Bobby Clark was a quiet guy, but Bobby Clark was Bobby Clark. But you had Rick Tocchet, who's now obviously the head coach. Oh. You had players there, Jeremy Roenick at one time, but hockey players were personalities. Now, there's a lot of basketball players that are foreign or from foreign countries, but hockey, it's hard to relate to a lot of the players,
right?
Because you've really never seen them come through to get there. At least college basketball and football players you got to see, you got to know them a little bit, you get to embrace them a little bit, but I think it's just foreign players. But hockey, nobody cares about hockey until the playoffs, and it's when they're good, that's kind of a shame. And I think the Flyers will be a championship team before the Sixers. Now, it's not going to be anytime soon. The Sixers are still 3 to 4 years away from being 3 to 4 years away from being 3 to 4 years away. Yeah, but I think Danny Briere and Keith Jones really know what they're doing, and they're going to do the right thing. But people don't embrace it. You have that hardcore cult following for hockey, and that's just what it is. But I think because they won championships, people embraced them. And Bernie Perrant was
I love that
was
guy.
an idol. It's just
Me too. I loved him.
And
man.
those guys, and back you had Dave the Hammer Schultz.
Dave Schultz
Yeah,
and them dudes,
just beat
man.
people up. He just beat
Yeah.
people up.
I loved that team growing up and the great Islander rivalries. I tell people this: when I was a kid growing up, every year I was in high school, the Islanders won the Stanley Cup, and those Flyers would roll in Ranger games. Those things were just absolutely awesome. Howard, who do you have scheduled coming up on the podcast?
I'm working on a couple of people, so I can't really say anything right now. But my next podcast will be Wednesday night at 7:30. Working on a couple of people. Schedules in the summer, obviously, a little more difficult, but I'm working on a couple of people. But whatever it is, I'm going to try to make it, as I always do, try to make it good.
Let me know. I mean, I can hook you up with some folks too. Just let me know because.
Hey, listen, send me some names, and
I definitely will. I will. Oh, hey, Howard, you're one of the very few people that I would, like I do Angelo, I would send those numbers to. I've got 5,000 numbers in my phone, so you need anything, you let me know, or I know them, and I will hook you up because I watch your podcast, and I got the idea of getting Herm on. I had Herm on my Tampa radio show a couple days ago, and we were talking about his time in Tampa when he was there. Get this, on the coaching staff, they had Lovie Smith, they had Mike Tomlin, they had him, they had Tony Dungy, and they all started in Kansas City first. Then they went over to Tampa. I mean, Herm is one of the absolutely, you could sit and listen to him for hours.
It's great. His press conference, the news conference that he had when he went off that one time, I didn't realize it until he told me on the show, we won the division. He said the Jets won the division that year. I thought they were so bad a team that they weren't.
No.
It's just,
some of the things. Win the game.
Wait, you forgot something. When you say, if you tell Herm, you kind of repeat what he said. You play to win the game. Hello. You got to have the hello in there. There's a pause and he says hello.
I love it. So Wednesday at what time again, Eastern?
7:30 Eastern time.
You got it.
But it lives forever, as we all know. They all
absolutely. Thank you so much, man. I love just chopping it up with you, man. It's really awesome, and I hope we get to do it again. And hey, by the way, there you go. We're in a book together. I didn't even know it until Tony Bruno sent me that thing. So I mean, hey, all good. Thank you so much, Howard.
Oh, hey, thank you. And Tony's great. I love Tony. Tony and I worked together when he was a teenager.
Where?
WFIL radio. He did news updates at which was a top 40 station. And I was spinning records for George Michael and a guy named Jim O'Brien. People know George Michael from the George Michael Sports Machine when there were records, when there were 45s.
Wait a second. So during I know Rocky. So Stallone's a Miami Hurricane. So let me ask you this. When they were filming Rocky, was that the station? Did they say WIP when he said in the movie? Were you on the air when that movie in 77? Were you on the air in 77 when that movie?
No, I did the first WIP. I was on the air in 77 at 1210 radio, which I replaced Joe Banner there, who was a sports reporter, believe it or not. And then I went to an FM station in 79 to 82 at an FM station doing sports talk. And then I went into TV for the first time in my life.
So there was no format. There was no format at all.
It was news. It was news, music, and like a loose form of music talk at WIP. 86, the general manager there was a general manager of two stations. It was Metro Media. And he wanted to make it a sports talk station. So I went to the Fox station, only did a 10 o'clock news. He says, would you do sports talk in the afternoon? Because I had done it before and it was successful. And I said, sure. So, because I only did a 10 o'clock news. So I did it in the afternoon. August 29th, it's coming up. The anniversary's coming up. August 29th, 1986 was the first sports talk show ever on WIP, before WFAN.
That's right.
But we weren't full time before WFAN.
Wow. And that's right, because FAN went from WNBC to FAN.
In 87 is when they went to full time sports talk. We had parts of the station once I started doing sports talk, but I did the first one, and just, I'll never forget that.
Pete Franklin.
No, they asked me to fill in for him when I think he had a heart attack, but I never met him. They asked me to fill in for him. But I never.
He worked in Cleveland, got a job at FAN, and then he worked with me when I was at KMBR 68 out in San Francisco. He did mid mornings, and I had worked with him at KMBR with Gary Radnich and those guys.
Never met him. Never met him.
Well, Howard, you of all the guys on the East Coast, you and Francesa have to be. I mean, I can't think of anybody in Boston that started with, like, during your time. It would have to be you. Was there a guy named Richards that was on the air too at WIP back in the day? Richardson, was there a guy like that?
I don't remember him.
Or Hendrickson, something like that, that was in the middays that you guys had who passed away? Steve something. I forget his name.
You know what? I forget, but I'll never forget those days. It was fun. It obviously was what launched.
Did you know what you were doing? I mean, did you know that the one day?
Well, I did. Remember, I did at an FM station before I went to WIP.
Steve Fredericks, that's the name. Steve Fredericks, I met.
Oh yeah, Steve Fredericks. Yeah, Steve Fredericks was there, and may he rest in peace. So I mean, and I was competing against Steve when I worked on the FM station, and he worked on the AM station, and I kicked his ass after a year and a half, and that pissed him off too. So hey, listen, I did it the way I did it. I learned on the way through it. I did a lot of things. I broke when I went to television in 82, 3 months after TV, I broke a big story about Leonard Toast being forced to sell the Eagles because of gambling problems. I mean, there's a whole list of things, but it's all good.
What's your biggest accomplishment, Howard, on the radio, you think? What's the number one, if you had to talk about your career? And I love this talk, man. I mean, I'm learning so much about you. I mean,
you know what? I prided myself, Dan, on it was a sense of accomplishment to break stories. And even you didn't find many radio people that broke stories. Especially in sports. You didn't find many TV people that broke stories. But I guess that was my biggest, the pride I took on breaking stories on both radio.
So was it relationships? Was it the relationships that you had?
Yeah, well, because you got to know people, and you would get people that would understand. They could tell you things, and you wouldn't dime them out. And certain things you couldn't say. Hey, listen. You can't, it's off the record. You can't say anything. And I didn't, but at least I had a background so I could research some things and do it. I've done, I think it's a little over 8,000 sports talk shows in my life. I don't think, matter of fact, I'm almost positive there's nobody in this country, because you don't work long enough, that I've done 8,000 shows. Nobody. But I take pride in that. So when you say, and the fact that I still have fun, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing now with podcasts is because I have fun doing it. But if you're not having fun, you're not trying hard enough.
Well,
so
I'll put it in perspective there. When you say you've done 8,000, if you're on the air for 10 years and you're fortunate enough, you do a morning show. I was on the air 15 years doing mornings in Florida and Tampa and in Jacksonville and Atlanta. And I did it for 15 years. And I'll tell you this, you do about 220. Okay. You do about 220 shows a year, counting holidays, weekends, and what have you. I mean, for me, 230 shows. I mean, possibly that I've done like in a 10-year, I've probably done about $2,000 and I've not been on the air near as long as you. And I mean, $8,000, that is some number, man.
Well, and the thing is, and it, I don't think I did what I should have done. I didn't take a lot of vacation because I felt like it was important to keep the ball rolling if the ball was rolling. And so I didn't take a lot of vacation.
Yep.
I worked a lot of shows, and so that's where it comes from. It's just,
I never
and
take
I worked
days.
a lot of years. Think about that. Before WIP screwed me, I had, that would have been like coming up in August, 86. That's 39 years coming
Yeah.
up in August. Would
Yeah.
have been 39 years.
39.
39 years at WIP.
Wow.
That's pretty, you know,
Hey,
I can't believe I can't believe.
you know
I've
what
done
though?
that.
Can I tell you a story about somebody that I know who knows a little bit about the story? And I'm not going to say anything, and we'll end it here. What I understood was that what hurt you the most was how loyal you were to people who all of a sudden turned out not to be loyal to you anymore.
Well,
That what I heard was the problem at the end, that you were protecting certain people, and those people
well, for all I
turned
did,
on you.
For that radio station and the people that are in place now, you know, I didn't hire them, but whatever. Loyalty is not a big part of America anymore. I'll just say America. Forget about the business, and that's just not the radio. It's not just the broadcast business. It's loyalty is just not the same as it used to be, and they don't care. They only care about themselves. They have no heart and no soul, and not everybody. I'm not talking about everybody in the business. There are people just trying to save their jobs, their cushy jobs, can get the free trips and free this and free that. And, you know, oh yeah, I run the radio station and I do this and I run this department. The hell with all that. That's all bullshit. You know, there's got to be loyalty somewhere, and it just doesn't exist as much anymore. And that's a big part of the problem. But I'm proud that I worked, and I did it the right way. I think I did it the right way, and I accomplished a lot. So you move forward. It was Troy Aikman introduced me to Terry Bradshaw the first time. I interviewed Terry one time. I mean, he doesn't remember. Obviously, it was years ago. And Troy Aikman says, "Terry, this guy's a legend." I said, "Please, I'm just like everybody else. I grew up in Philadelphia. I grew up in the neighborhood. It was called Northeast Philadelphia. And I was just like everybody else. I was a guy that loved sports, and I just made it a career. That's all. No more, no less."
Well, let me give you a Jerome Brown story about you. let me give you a Jerome story. So I guess I didn't know this until Keith Byers told me, and the guys told me. They go, so I guess somehow Keith Byers was working on a deal for offensive tackle by the name of Jim Lachey. And they were trying to bring him to the Eagles because they needed O-line help. And I guess Buddy threw a fit on the whole thing because he said, yeah, the yachtsman, the Frenchman, or he called him something, the Frenchman, the guy in France, he doesn't want to do anything. Jerome said,
yeah, that was Norman Brayman, who had a home in France. Yeah.
He goes, Eskin's on the air going, this guy, this owner, he'll never build that team. That owner, he cares about being in France more than he cares about being in Philly. And Jerome used to tell me all the time how you would go knee deep in that guy because it was always Buddy. Buddy was ripping him. Yeah, the guy in France.
You know what was hard to do about that, Dan? You know what was hard to do?
What's that?
I was friends with his nephew, who was a neighbor of mine. One of my best friends was his nephew. And he buddied up to me. Hey, the other kid's name was Howard. Yeah, your buddy. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. And he didn't like it when I dined him out for not paying city wage tax. I dined him out for a lot of things. He said his office was in outside of Philadelphia, which never really existed. Uh, so I got him on that. I actually had copies of the tax returns. I forget how I got them.
Oh my God. You're going full PMZ on them.
Oh yeah, right. But whatever. It is what it is. What it is.
You need to write a book, dude. You need, Angelo did one. You need to write a book.
I got to find a writer. Yeah, I got to find a writer. That's
Dude,
what I'm going to do.
That book, man, it would be enormous.
There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of stories.
Absolutely. What is it? 50 years of sports stories.
Oh yeah, it'll be. Well, I've been in the business 50 years. Yeah.
Oh my God Almighty, Howard! It is always awesome. Don't forget, 7:30 Eastern, the new show will drop. Howard Eskin's show podcast will drop on Wednesday. I loved it, man. Thank you so much for the time, dude. I appreciate it, and I'm here for you anytime you need me.
All right, thanks, brother.
I got into this business because of you. You're one of the guys that I got into the business for, man, and I appreciate you very much. Thank you, Howard.
We both have a mutual friend in Jerome Brown, and may he rest in peace, too.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I love it. By the way, let me show you this last thing here. So look at this. So the city of Brooksville sent me this, and on the back here, got all the numbers of the holes, and here are the players that have signed this. I've got Clyde Simmons, Seth Joyner, Andre Waters, Keith Jackson, and all the guys have signed this. And the city of Brooksville, where Jerome was from,
right? Yep.
Sent this to me and gave me this, and it was for the Jerome Brown Golf Classic on the back here. You can see it there.
Yep.
And
yep.
I played with Jerome, obviously, at the University of Miami.
Yep.
And so it was a lot of fun. Yeah, he loved playing for Philly. He loved that parking lot you guys had because he would take his Suzuki Yamaha motorcycle and go 100 miles an hour in that parking lot, and he used to drive Jeff Fisher and everybody crazy because Jerome was so reckless in that parking lot. God rest his soul, but yeah, he was a nut in that parking lot with the cats hanging down, falling down, the rats in the place. I've been in that joint, man, back in the day, that vet.
Yeah, we make the rats your friends. That's all.
Howard, thank you, my friend.
See ya.
You got it. Howard Eskin. What a fun time. That was absolutely fantastic. It really is, man. I mean, you talk about truly one of the great godfathers of sports talk radio. Think about this too. Like I said, everyone always assumes that WFAN in New York was like the first 24-hour sports station. Dude, Howard was the first guy in '86 to put it all together. And WIP, in my opinion, has always been a better radio station than WFAN. I listened to IP more than I listened to WFAN, and I lived in the New York area. I was raised in the New York area. All right. Got to take a time out here. My great friends at Morgan & Morgan, folks. We love our friends at Morgan & Morgan with over $30 billion recovered. They are the #1 injury law firm in all of America. That's right. Family here in Pennsylvania got $30 million in recovery when an insurance company wanted to come in and only give them $650K. Absolutely no way. Or a family down in Florida, they only were awarded $350K. Well, guess what? Morgan & Morgan went in with their team and they got themselves $12 million in recovery. If you're ever injured, please do me a favor and contact my friends at Morgan & Morgan by forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's FORthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Dan Sileo, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Super chats go to the top. I want to say this to you about one thing about ESPN before we get to Bryce Huff here. I think Bryce Huff quit on his team, which means he quit on the Eagles, and I'll explain here in a second. So let me show you identity politics in its form here. ESPN is going out of their way to make you believe that Caitlin Clark is bad for the WNBA. Here's why. I don't know who she is, nor do I care. So, an analyst named Peck starts talking. I think the Indiana Fever, and by the way, I'm talking Chicks Hoop. The Fever are better without her. Okay, so let's put this in perspective. The women in the WNBA for 29 years failed at moving the needle. Failed at moving the needle. They want chartered flights, Ritz-Carltons, more money, higher pay. They don't want the WNBA to look like a white chick from Iowa. They don't want it to look like that. They want all those things. They covet all those things. But does it have to look like a white, beer-drinking, talented girl from Iowa? They hate what success looks like. They totally hate it. They hate it looks like that. You mean she's not a black chick? No. It's that. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson are the most influential NBA players of all time. That includes Michael Jordan. Why? Because they got people watching the sport again. And they got white sports fans. But Sills, the only reason they liked Larry Bird is because he was white. No shit. So what? Embrace it. Well, if Bird was a black guy, he'd be just another great player. No shit. Thank you for Mr. Obvious. So what? So what? My God. You should believe in one color if you're a businessman. Green. That's it. Green. Plain and simple. But ego, it'll wreck the day, won't it? It just will wreck the day. No matter what. It's a shame. Now that woman has walked it back. I didn't mean that. I got her point. But that is something that they're saying in the building at ESPN. So criminal. Embrace it. You can't do it. Hit the like button, guys. Supers go to the top. By the way, got a little insight for you here on Kenyon Green. What did you guys trade for Kenyon Green? What was the draft pick you traded? What did you trade? What did you get? What, was it just a C.J. Gardner deal? C.J. Okay. There was a fifth? Okay. I'm going to tell you something, guys. He might not make the team. He might not make the team. They are killing him in drills, and they're not even in equipment yet. He may not make the club. He is a colossal bust. He's not starting. Matt Pryor will start ahead of him. He will never play a down in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He is not making the team. He is not. By the way, I think the rookies you drafted in the later rounds, I think Steen and Pryor are all good enough. This guy's not making the club. He's not good enough. And you had Gardner Johnson in that deal. I want you to put that into perspective. Okay? Put this in perspective here. This kid's not going to make the club, and you move Gardner Johnson, and you got that guy, and you gave up a fifth for him, and you moved Gardner Johnson. And if you shit the bed at safety, that deal's going to look awful bad. I like Hinton too a lot. My question only with him. Okay? Here's my only question that I have with Hinton. When he left Stanford and he went to Michigan, there was a question how much he loved the game and how much of a commitment he had to wanting to be a great player. That kind of gave me a red flag a little bit. Okay? He was the first round pick, that Kenyon Green. I got it. Like the 16th or 17th pick, he sucks. I mean, Andre Dillard looks like a Pro Bowler next to him. Honestly, this kid's a bad pick. He's a bad pick. Not hitting. So I paused on that a bit. But after talking to his dad, he was going through some things. And when you transfer, believe me, you have a lot of doubts about yourself in the game. When I transferred from Maryland to Miami, I had a lot of doubts too. Jesus. I'm in my last shot. What am I going to do? so many good players. I've got to I've got to get the trust of the coaches. This is going to take me forever. Is it worth it? All of that goes through your head when you transfer. You understand that? All of that goes through your head. When you transfer, okay? When you transfer, all of that runs through your mind. God, am I going to make it? Am I this and that? So he went to Michigan and won a national title. He's a good football player. I'm surprised he was that low in the draft. I think it had a lot to do with that transfer. Not all transfers work out for the best on how the NFL evaluates you. Me, I played on a great team. I was a star in a great team, and it helped me when I transferred from Maryland to Miami. Okay, it helped me. It elevated my play. I was around better players and a better sense of wanting to win. All of that. Okay? I think the kid's going to be a good football player. I got high hopes for Hinton. I do. I'd like the kid Trevor Keegan. Isn't it funny? You got now two guys from Michigan, Keegan and Hinton. I kind of love what Howie's doing here. Okay? Here's Blaine. Hi, Sills. Pray for me. I had 2 hospitalizations. Been rough, but love the show. Keep it up. Great work. Hey, man. I'm glad we're able to have the show on here for you while you're rehabbing here, man. That's kind of something that we're proud of here. Have a little fun, talk a little shit, kind of sitting at a bar and having a fun time, right? Absolutely. Still, they must really wanted CJ gone. I agree. And success, get this, Weapon. As great as that player has been for 2 years, the Eagles didn't want you because of your character or lack thereof. Gardner Johnson thought that his ability was going to carry him far. But what happened was it carried him only so far. Because then the Eagles said, I don't want anything to do with it. And he's a really good football player. 12 interceptions in 2 years, 2 NFC titles. There's no coincidence he's been on the number 1 and number 2 defenses with his time in Philly. Imagine that. You're one of the centerpieces on the defense, but the Eagles thought you were not one of the future pieces moving forward. And you're 27. Wow. They must have hated you. The constant bitching. You know what Clint Hurt told me? That Christian Parker and him would be in constant arguments. It would be shut up. Just stop talking. I don't get that from Q. I don't get that from Cooper. I don't really get that from anybody on that defense. Hey, Jalen Carter, I like his little nasty attitude. Stills, would you say Hinton has issues with liking the game because he transferred to Michigan and then losing Harbaugh? No, this was from Stanford to Michigan. There was a question in the transfer. And I think everybody that transfers, I have them. Man, am I doing the right thing? Is this going to work out? How are the coaches going to treat me? Holy shit, when you look at the depth chart, you look up, there's 5 guys in front of you. When I got to Miami, Abe, there was 5 guys in front of me. That was just that one D tackle position, the left tackle position. There were 10 guys. I was like number 9. I looked up, I'm like, holy shit. These guys were all 5-star kids recruited, too. 5 4-stars. Guys who they earmarked that were going to start there. I'm looking up going, man, I'll never play here. But, my grandfather kept me to it. He said, hey, come home, you're going to the Army. Or you're going to work on the lobster boat, which I did anyway for 12 years. So I was like, hey, all right. And so I stuck it out. All of a sudden, I started creeping my way up. Boom. Next guy beat him out. Next guy beat him out. Shit, by October, I was already I was already second team by October. And by the time the end of October came, I was earmarked to be a starter. The following year, back then, you couldn't transfer and play right away. You had to sit. So I sat and I started. I went through 9 guys to get the next to Jerome. 9 first-team guys. There were like 4 first-round draft choices. I went right through. I went right over them. I worked harder, I was stronger, and I was bigger. And I just made sure I outworked you. Okay? That's totally true. Sills of transfer is a leap of absolutely true. Absolutely. Dude, I had to make this choice. Here, I'll show you guys something. Hopefully I can bring this up. When I got recruited by Michigan, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Notre Dame. I could have pretty much went anywhere. But here, I'll show you this. This is pretty cool here. So let me go here and let me show you this. Oklahoma scholarship. Oklahoma, Dan Sileo. I think I've posted this on my Facebook. So let me show you what I did. To your point. Okay? So here, I want to show you this. And I'll read it to you. Congratulations on your decision to attend the University of Oklahoma. On becoming part of the winningest football program in the nation. You are joining a football program that has a tradition and the pageantry like no other. Attitude that will be part of the winningest college football program in the country. Get yourselves settled. We'll all meet at the team meeting. Here's my scholarship. Right here. To Oklahoma. There's my scholarship. And you see what it says above it? Barry Switzer. I actually love Coach Switzer. Barry gave me a scholarship offer to go to the University of Oklahoma. Then I went to Miami. See what Barry tweeted? I'm still pissed about it. Barry let me out of my scholarship. Look at that. Barry said, I'm still pissed, Dan. And there's my scholarship offer at Oklahoma. I had signed it. I was going to play at OU. I mean, I was going to play. And then Jimmy came parachuting in. Hey, you got to come here to this and that. And I had LSU. Robustelli had helped me with that. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. So let me get to this here. Yeah, Kenyon Green. So let me ask you one question here about Zach Bond. How do you know he's not a one-year wonder? I asked Xander, and I asked Howard Eskin this question. How do you know that Zach Bond's not a one-year wonder? How do you know this? We don't know yet. Okay, fair enough. Kind of an interesting take. I had to step away for work reasons and pause the show. Didn't want to miss what Howard had to say. Very entertaining. Thank you, Veal. I appreciate you, man. Switzer was a gentleman, just the enemy with the Cowboys. Dude, I love Coach Switzer. He's been on our program. I love Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer's my second favorite college football coach of all time. Okay? Go watch this. Because he has the linebacker whisper, that's why he's not a one-year wonder. Why, Josh? Joshua Uche's a one-year wonder. Azeez Ojulari's a one-year wonder. Bryce Huff was a one-year wonder. Those guys had double-digit sacks. Because he has the whisperer. Yeah, the whisperer don't make tackles. Nobody knows the future. You know what? Here, Shady, this guy will tell you that I knew that Carson Wentz was a great player. But then he'll revise history for you and go, I knew that guy was a bum. Even when you gave him the second richest contract in NFL history and paid him $33 million annually, I knew he was a bum. Yeah, I knew he was a bum. No, he didn't. He'll lie to you because that's what fans do. Would Barkley count as a one-year wonder? With his injury history, yeah. 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 He's been hurt 3 times in the last 5 years. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Get this. He was not. So let me ask you this, Wake. How about this? How many people believe that Saquon Barkley had a better career than Josh Jacobs did with the same time frame? Jacobs in with the Raiders, Barkley with the Giants. Who do you think had a better career? Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley? What do you think? Who do you think had a better career? Both on shitty teams. Josh Jacobs or Barkley? Who do you think had a better career? Josh Jacobs with the Raiders or Barkley with the Giants? Who had a better career? Raiders weren't good. Josh Jacobs? Here, let me take a look at that. Josh Jacobs. I know Jacobs had a better career. So, Jacobs with the Raiders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. In those 5 years with the Raiders, 3 of them were 1,000-yard seasons, and he led the NFL in rushing with 1,653 yards rushing, had 2,000 yards from scrimmage in 2022. In his 6 years, he gained 6,800 yards. See what Barkley did. I think Barkley had 7 years. So Barkley, Saquon Barkley, I believe he's been in the league a little longer. Because I think he's entering, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right. So you take that 932 away. So what did he have in New York? He had 5,200 yards in New York, and you take that 963 away. You're talking about a guy with 4,500 rushing yards in 5 years in New York. And Josh Jacobs in his 5 years had 55, 45, and 46 touchdowns, which is more. He had a better career. Both guys on shitty teams. How do I know Barkley's going to do this again? The O-line, I agree with Xander. Has a higher yards per carry. Nice reads. Too bad he doesn't have more touchdowns and more yards rushing. Wait a minute. Get this. He has 7,200 yards. Bro, I'm talking about his 5 years in New York. Listen. Try listening. Josh Jacobs had a better 5-year run in Vegas than Barkley did in New York. It's not close. Barkley's a better player. Well, he didn't show it in New York. Jacobs did in Vegas. Those are facts. Hey, you can tell me you think he's a better player, but he didn't do it because he was hurt. Yeah, right here, look at this. In his let's see here. Jacobs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in Vegas. 3 of those years were 1,000-yard years, and he led the NFL in rushing. Barkley's first 5 years in the league, 2 1,000-yard years, 34, 590, and 312. He was a better player. What's the point? How do I know what he's going to do this year in Philly? Well, Sills, did you not see what he did? I did. I saw Chris Jones go for $2,000. I saw Jamal Lewis go for $2,000. I totally did. The Raiders had better coaches. My God. You'll reach for anything. Yards per carry. Good grief almighty. Guys, don't forget to do me a favor. Please check out my friends at Morgan & Morgan. Absolutely sensational folks, man, with thousands of attorneys from coast to coast. Make sure you check out our friends. The number one reason why they win is because they don't lose. That's why they're the number one injury law firm in America. Do me a favor. Go to forthepeople.com/Big Sills or Pound Law 529. That's forthepeople.com/Big Sills or Pound Law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sills sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Sills here. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. Trump wants the name Redskins back. Of course he does. Yeah. Oh, boy. My wife has a rule that I subscribe to it. You know, if you're going to piss people off, why? You know, you're trying to sell hamburgers. Why would I want to sell? I got 10 people in the room. I'm trying to sell 10 people hamburgers, not 5. Right? So, you know, it's one thing to have a political statement. I believe the Redskins name is something you should keep. But if you're selling a product and you're a business, I don't give a shit if you're a Republican or Democrat. I'm trying to sell you 10 hamburgers. Okay? I mean, right? Like I said, it's one thing if you want to make political statements. I think the Redskin name should be still in Washington, D.C. because it's Redskins and Cowboys. I know even the chief who designed the logo for the Washington Redskins wants the logo back on the helmet. So I get it. Right? So I get it. This is a great question. Dan, do you consider Barkley a bust in New York? That's a great question. Do I consider Saquon Barkley a bust in New York? Well, you'd have to think the Giants did. They let him go. I wonder if Barkley thinks he was successful in New York. It's a great question. There's no doubt. Revised history would tell you they let him down. He's a fabulous talent. He is, but he was not what they thought he was going to be. Now again, the Giants didn't build a team around him. It's a great question. I'll expand on that thing tomorrow. Brian, that's a great topic, man. So we'll hit on that. Was Saquon Barkley a failure in New York? Number 2 overall pick? I don't know. All right. Guys, big week headed our way. At the end of this week, the Chargers are in training camp to show you how close the season is. I appreciate all of you. Joe, Xander, thank you. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we'll see you on the flip side.